Nerdrotic.com.
Thank you. Thank you. You are beautiful. Oh, my God. What a lovely audience. What an abrupt ending to that applause, too. Welcome to the Nerdrotic Nooner. My name is Gary Beekler, and I come to you from Nerdrotic.com and my mom's vajayjay. And we've got a hell of a show today because, well, Disney can't go through a week without doing something stupid. And they've done it once again during their investor call. Now, a lot of my friends have made very good videos on this subject, and of course I never have time to, so I just talk about it on live streams. I might do a video later, but it essentially will be what's in this live stream. So Bob Chapek was asked directly if he was going to fire Kathleen Kennedy, and he was asked about the Gina Carano firing, which is huge. It doesn't matter what his answers are. The fact that those questions were asked at the investor call, which I am sure are screened, was a big deal, And while a lot of people thought, and I initially thought these were non-answers, went back, listened to it again, and God, is it boring. Investor calls are boring. It's a lot of, oh my God, Disney's so awesome. And I'm like a mom with a Girl Scout group, which is fine. That's actually kind of cool. But she's like, we wanted to see Raya or whatever in a theater, and I guess they couldn't. So you have your opportunity to ask the CEO of Disney any question, and people were going, I just love you so much. You're so awesome. You big bald. You know, it explains a lot in this country when you are giving a once in a lifetime opportunity to ask the CEO of Disney a question, and it's, I love you so much. Really? Ah, okay. Well, it explains a lot. And recently, I had a social event at my house, and it was the first social event I had in a year. I had forgotten how to socialize in person. It was very awkward. But I did get to ask some of my normie friends some questions, and it was enlightening, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. As far as Disney's concerned and Star Wars and our sphere in this world. And while a lot of stuff is very old hat to us, people are still figuring this stuff out. It's still breaking news to a lot of people. So in Bob Chapek's non-answer, especially about Gina Carano, there was an answer there. It was a virtue signal backhand. Straight up. And I think it really gives you a lot of insight as to how Hollywood approaches things. And it's essentially this: we're the good guys. We're on the side of good. They not only perpetuate the narrative that half the country is a bunch of demons, they fully believe it. And they believe it because they don't really take the time to understand fandom, their audiences. They live purely off of data that they pay for. And one of the surprising things I found when I went to Hollywood was the disparity between the $20 an hour employees, the people who actually make Hollywood run, work their asses off. They work 16 hours a day, 100-hour weeks regularly, And the executives at the top and middle management work very little. Very, very little. There's a lot of business lunches and business trips and traveling, but day to day, we are making this machine go. They rely on their compartmentalization, and they have, thousands of employees throughout the world. Bob Chapek said Disney is a very moral company. We're gonna listen to that answer, by the way. And it's directly related to the press release leak of the firing of Gina Carano and what they said in that press release leak, which was perpetuating a lie, saying that Gina Carano was disparaging groups by race and by religion. And that's what his response was to. He was backing it up. So confirmed that press release, a releak. That's what it was. A releak came from the top, came from the absolute top. Another thing that was confirmed, which is not surprising to me personally, is Kathleen Kennedy is the boss of Lucasfilm. Jon Favreau is her employee. Jon Favreau has to do what Kathleen Kennedy says, or Jon Favreau can hit the road. Kathleen Kennedy has the Bob's balls in her upper right-hand drawer, right hand, your left or my right, of her desk at Lucasfilm. She will leave when she is good and goddamn ready. She is one of the most powerful women in Hollywood based on her association with some very powerful men. But now she is in charge of what is still perceived in Hollywood as the biggest franchise out there. For some reason, Star Wars gets a lot more attention than Marvel, and it's usually negative attention, but it does. And I still believe what a good friend of mine told me a long time ago. This friend used to co-host the show. He worked on Disney Plus for a little while, building the infrastructure of Disney Plus. And he told me the reason that Disney prefers Star Wars over Marvel is, and you're going to find this shocking, I did too, Star Wars is cheaper to produce than Marvel. Marvel is very expensive. And it has a lot to do with the creatives involved at the time. Now, that, I believe, certainly has changed now that Robert Downey Jr. is gone and some of the bigger stars are gone. They can get a lot of other stars on the cheap. And that is ultimately why they continue doing what they're doing. It's always the almighty dollar. Now, it looks like, wow, they could make more money if they just made good stories and, put in stars that people actually like and got some talented writers. Sure, but that costs money. It's much cheaper to go inclusive and diverse. It is. So they fully believe that because the profits are bigger. They might not make as much money, but their profits are larger. So I'm going to, once people are done rolling in, we're going to go over some of that audio from Bob Chapek, the bald. Wow. The one thing this did show is the Gina Carano firing did hurt Disney. Absolutely. The fact that they're bringing it up, and I think that Kathleen Kennedy question, while I don't think the question was planned, I think they allowed it to go through so they can give their answer, and I believe their answer. I absolutely believe their answer. Hollywood is a bottom line town. And if you don't look at what's going on in the fandom and here on YouTube and everywhere else, and you just look at the dollars and cents of Star Wars, it still makes them a lot of money. What has protected them, believe it or not, is the COOF. The next Star Wars film is not going to make $1 billion. Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron is not going to make $1 billion. It could end up like Solo. Hashtag Solo lost money. And we'll find out. And Disney's other problem is they don't operate on the fly. They're a giant monolithic corporation. They crawl like a snail. They can't make decisions quickly because they have to go to 5 or 6 different committees. And office politics always comes into play. Now, as far as that civil war is concerned, I've never really bought into that. I certainly think that Jon Favreau has a specific vision, and Jon Favreau was gaining power there, and he still has a lot of power. Most of the fandom loves Jon Favreau, and if they got rid of him, he'd be gone. But I think Jon Favreau is a company man. I do. Whether he's upset or not about Gina Carano being fired, it matters not, because we haven't heard anything. That is pure conjecture. Now, I know a lot of people out there were hopeful that Disney Star Wars would turn things around, excuse me, and just make Star Wars, and that didn't happen. And they have really made no effort in giving an inclination that would happen. We had the Luke Skywalker return. That was Jon Favreau. That was an anomaly. They didn't expect that kind of response. And it did change everything. Just Kathleen Kennedy was unwilling to change. And she worked her magic. She's worked in Hollywood for a long time and survived in Hollywood a long time. She knows how to sever heads when she needs to sever heads. That's why she is where she is. She's not talented. She's not a creative, but she is very good at the office politics of Disney. And that's the biggest problem with Hollywood right now. The people who are rising to the top are the ones who are the best at the office politics and not particularly very good at creating entertainment. And that will be their ultimate demise. Now, it's going to take years. Key word here is content. A long time ago, not a couple years ago, long time ago, I was asked to come on Creature Features, and they asked me, so what do you do? What's your job title? And I'm like, I don't know. YouTuber, I guess. I make videos, pop culture commentator, content creator. I guess that's the label that's sticking now. And with now the streaming services out there, they all have their own mini YouTubes, and they are creating content. And that content is now in direct competition with us. And we can produce it very cheaply. And there are thousands of us out there, and this is something they can't compete against, and they understand that. Now, we know that video games is at the top. But now, it's wide open. Disney stock is still doing very well. I don't know how it's doing today. I think it dipped a little bit yesterday, but I don't know how I don't really pay attention to that shit. But it's inexplicable how it's doing well. It should not be doing well. Their parks are closed. There's no movie theaters. How are they doing well? Is this all based on a streaming service? Well, that is a corporate shell game, because that streaming service cost Disney a lot of money. And as far as I know, they're still in debt. So if you're still in debt, but you're making money, is it really making money? Oh, sure, you plan to pay it off, and maybe they have the liquid to pay it off. I don't think so. I don't know what the exact number is, but if you're operating in debt and you're a company, a for-profit company, then you're not technically profiting. But because of all the shenanigans that they have been able to develop over the years, because they are billion-dollar corporations and they can hire the best of the best, this is how they survive, and they say they're resilient. But Disney does not acknowledge bad news ever. So the fact that this got through was huge. And it's a direct result of you guys slamming them on every YouTube video, wherever they go, every time they put up a cringe post on Twitter. You guys are there to speak your truth. And for the most part, I love how you're doing it, You're not throwing a bunch of, I want to too. You're not throwing a bunch of F-bombs at them or threatening them or any of that crap. You're just simply stating what they have done. And that's the way you need to do it. Or quoting Gina Carano. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And it's grassroots, shall we say. It's a beautiful thing. The fandom always wins in the end, folks. Might take years, but the fact that we pay for everything is still pretty important. Now, the other thing we need to talk about later is WandaVision. And I know it's a controversial subject with some people. WandaVision was very disappointing at the end, and it wasn't because of the theories. It was the writing, and it was the writer. The writer has recently come out and said things, and she has said things in the past that explain why a lot of the MCU stuff lately doesn't pass the smell test with real comic book fans. I'm not sure if any normies are noticing this yet. It is something I have labeled the MCU, but it goes much deeper than that. And it is the platforming of our entertainment. It is turning it into a tool of influence. And we have direct quotes from people that prove this. This isn't just some wild speculation. It started out like that, but then it was confirmed with actual words from the quote-unquote creatives involved in Marvel projects. The most consistent thing we have heard from a lot of people when they jump into a creative project like a comic book film is, I don't read comic books. I don't read comic books. And that's why most of them suck. The MCU was created by comic book fans. That's why it exists. And it will die because they got rid of the comic book fans. Now, it doesn't have to be everyone. If we have somebody who's like, hey, I wasn't into comics when I was a kid, but, man, this stuff is cool, and I'm going to do the proper research, of course, you are welcome in, please. If you're a talented person, doesn't matter what you look like, doesn't matter where you, what junk you got in your pants or how you identify what that junk is or whatever, I don't care. If you give a shit about the source material and you don't come at it like, oh, well, I don't read comic books, but everything you read was obviously racist and sexist. So I'm not going to hear to that because of my personal, very vapid and shallow values that have been downloaded to me. And that was the problem behind WandaVision, and that's why it ultimately failed. In the last couple of episodes, it really took it apart. Now, I am working on a review, maybe tonight, probably tomorrow. God, I wish I wasn't such a slow editor. I was. That's why I was never going to make it in Hollywood. I am a freaking slow editor. And it's not like I'm, it's not like I'm creating like critical drinker level content or anything. Let's be honest. Who is a brilliant guy. By the way, tomorrow at 9 p.m. BST, don't really know what time that is. I think it's like 11 my time. The Critical Drinker and I are going to discuss one of my all-time favorite films, Con Air. We're going to look back at a time when Hollywood was just coked up producers, butt-chugging hookers on yachts, the good old days, and creating magic like Con Air and Broken Arrow and Face Off and The Rock. I miss those days. I remember, giving Michael Bay a little shit. I miss Michael Bay. Michael Bay, please come back. Please come back. I'm sorry about everything I said about you in the past. I was wrong. You were right. Yes, I miss slow motion. Like it's always magic hour. Is that just called the magic hour when it's sunset and sweat glistening off Megan Fox as she's washing a car or something like that? Yeah. Some real toxic shit. Down with it. So y'all want to hear some audio? Y'all want to hear some audio from the Bob? Bob Iger is indeed leaving. The audio we won't listen to is they made it abundantly clear that what direction they're going in. By the way, Disney, Star Wars, Disney, Marvel, Disney is going in a definitive direction. The one that we have noticed over the last couple of years. There is going to be no recasting of Captain Marvel. There is going to be no erasure of the Disney trilogy. None of that is going to happen. Could it have happened? Maybe. It looked like we were going in the right direction in 2019, but 2020 changed everything. It turned back the clock to 2016, and Disney has said specifically that they are going to move forward with their brand of social justice and of course, their brand of recently created corporate-sponsored cancel culture. Now I'm going to go to, we're going to start with, got my little notes here. We're going to start with the blacklist comment. And I want to get this guy's name. If somebody knows this guy's name, the guy who asked the blacklist comment, I believe he was from San Antonio? He had to be from Texas. If somebody knows his name, and if he's on Twitter, I want to get him on Friday Night Tights. I want to get this guy on Friday Night Tights. So we will start out with the Gina Carano comment. Give me a moment here. There we go. Excellent. I think I had this set up right. Oh, look at that. I had it set up right. See, this is why I'm late. I'm setting this stuff up last minute. I should do it hours in advance, but I don't because I'm always doing something. Oh, let's make sure the volume is nice and turned up. And we are going to, now this isn't going to be clean or anything, so we're probably going to catch the last bit of the last question, but here we go.
The fact that we have a tremendous opportunity now going forward to bring this country back together and unite people under a common vision of Disney magic and what's good with this world. And we've had a lot of challenges with the social issues as well as the pandemic. And I think we can all agree on some things, and some of those things are the power of Disney in the world to unite us all under some common themes. So that's what I'd say. Thank you for your question.
Bullshit.
And our next question today, Mr. Chapek, comes from David Almasi from Alexandria, Virginia.
Oh, Virginia.
Please go ahead.
Hi there. It's clear that there's a new blacklist punishing conservatives in the entertainment industry. Disney Plus actors Pedro Pascal and Gina Carano tweeted similar analogies of current political events to Nazi Germany. Yet only Carano, who is considered a conservative, was fired from The Mandalorian. Regarding Disney and a blacklist, this is the way?
Well, thank you for your question. I don't really see Disney as characterizing itself as left-leaning or right-leaning, yet instead standing for values that are universal, values of respect, values of decency, values of integrity, and values of inclusion. And we seek to have not only how we operate, but the content that we make reflective of the rich diversity of the world that we live in. And I think that's a world that we all should live in harmony and peace. Thank you for your question. Next question, please.
Thank you, sir. Our next question comes from Howard Ratliff from Fort Worth, Texas. Please go ahead.
That was David Almasi from Virginia. David Almasi, if you're out there, Gary@nerdrotic.com. Email me. We want you on Friday Night Tights. What a bunch of bullshit. For one, what a bunch of bullshit. But what he was saying there, world peace and diversity and inclusivity, he was directly talking about the leak statement and what Gina was perceived to have said, the lie that has been perpetuated about her. So when they see themselves as not a right-leaning or a left-leaning company, they think they are right. They actually think they are in the center. They think they're very extreme progressive brand of politics. And I'm not a Republican. And if I was a Republican, I wouldn't buy fucking shit from Disney, because Disney made that abundantly clear. They don't think you're moral. They think you are immoral beings. They have a very skewed vision of what a conservative person is. You know what a conservative person is? It's a regular person who maybe doesn't want to be taxed as much and maybe wants to have a serious conversation about nationalized health care and maybe wants to have a realistic conversation about immigration. They're not all the alt-right Nazis. And you know what? I also don't believe that most of the left is a bunch of Antifa assholes. But we have a lot of people who are classic liberals or liberals right here who subscribe to this channel, and they're always fucking welcome. What we're fighting here is authoritarianism, and it's being guised with all of these magic, beautiful words that they obviously don't believe in. I mean, I could bring up the concentration camps that you filmed a movie right next to and then thank the people who ran the concentration camps. I could bring up, and that's the worst that we know about. I could bring up all the members of the CCP that actually work at your company, which is in direct violation of a lot of rules, shall we say. I could talk about you not paying your fucking writers like Alan Dean Foster, completely fucking them over. Other creatives, Bill Nye. Now, I don't like Bill Nye. I think Bill Nye, the engineer guy, is full of shit, but he's owed his money. He's owed his money. And they, by the way, they use the power of the billion-dollar corporation, the best of the best lawyers, to fuck over creatives. If I was a creative, I wouldn't want to work for Disney. Unfortunately, our dumbass government allowed them to buy Fox and and through that Hulu, and created damn near a monopoly. If it wasn't for Warner Brothers and Universal, they would be. I can bring up account after account. How about what the questioner brought up, Mr. Almasi brought up? We had two actors bring up the same thing on different sides. One was fired, one was not. There is a blacklist. Plus, he didn't answer the question. He did not answer the question of whether there's a blacklist or not. So that tells me there's a blacklist. There's absolutely a blacklist. So we have revisited the 50s. We have revisited the 50s. Big difference between now and the 50s. In the 50s, there was some commies in Hollywood. There actually was. Now, everything beyond that is debatable. I didn't live in the 50s, and I am not fully aware of all of that. I tell you, most of my knowledge is from some pretty good Razor Fist videos on that subject. But what I do know now is what they believe. I mean, they don't see varying degrees of conservatism and centrists and libertarian. They just see us as one big ball. And I say us because I'm in the middle, dude. I'm an independent. I highly recommend everybody look into being an independent, especially with what's gone on in our world now. My philosophy towards politics from here on out is wherever I live, I'm going to know whatever I can about whatever politician which is lording over me. And I'm going to I'm going to completely ignore people's voting or not what they say during a campaign. Fuck what they say at a campaign. Look at their voting record. And it's going to take time, but you know what? The one lesson I learned is I should take the time because I really don't like sitting in my fucking house all the time. It's not something I love. I've been locked up before. I don't like being locked up again. Now, technically, it's not as bad as it was before, trust me. But as Texas and Florida are running around tasting that sweet, sweet freedom, we're like 2 weeks away from limited capacity here in California. Can't wait to get the hell out. But it looks like Disneyland's going to be opening up at the end of April. I won't be going. I don't give a shit about Disney. And we're going to see over the next year if this Disney backlash is actually going to hurt them, because Bob's answer right there made things a lot worse. And again, if you read into it, that was a backhand to Gina Carano. An absolute backhand, total disrespect. And the spin is on. The spin is on. I wouldn't be surprised if you start hearing leaks to the press about how Gina is a problem on the set and all this other bullshit. When alls we have heard from everyone, everywhere, is she is a sweetheart. She is nice. And if you go back over her TikTok, I don't even go on TikTok, but Instagram and Twitter, everything has come from a very nice place. And she's just, brought up some tough questions, some questions we should be asking. And it is funny that the sentiment now, after the election, is now it's starting to become okay to ask certain questions that you couldn't ask before. And when we have giant corporations like Disney perpetuating this, I mean, they discussed lobbying and they discussed transparency with their lobbying. Of course, they shot that down. I believe there was a union guy in this call too who wanted some workers on the board who actually work at Disney. That got destroyed in the vote. And I don't know. Like, listen, I'm not a big union guy or anything like that. But if you look at how they voted in this, if you go back and listen and look at how they voted, and then Bob just comes out and says that they're a moral company. You know what they did not discuss during this entire call? Mulan and where it was filmed. But somebody did ask the question if there would be more Asian representation in films in the future. Oh, my goodness. Well, maybe it's hard not to have, they can't have any Uyghur representation, that's for sure. They can't mention Taiwan, I'm sure. Their CCP overlords wouldn't like that very much. And they were not asked about the 35,000 employees they've let go, and I think that was just one. Didn't they do a separate 18 to 20,000 one? Like, it's 50,000 employees, I think. I could be wrong about that. You could correct me on that in the chat, if that's fine. No, that wasn't brought up. Everything was fucking sunshine and rainbows and unicorns pooping fucking sherbet ice cream. So let's get to Kathleen Kennedy. And that was the 48-minute mark. The 48-minute mark. Let's do it right there. All right.
Fuel being actually available. So I think we're on the leading edge of the wave, if you will, towards trying to operate responsibly in terms of environment with renewable energy and lower carbon footprint. So we're very proud of what we've done, but you're right, we can do more, and we'll continue to do that. We've got a new lead for our CSR activities inside the company, and she'll be working hard to make sure that we have an energy source and a point of focus on this going forward. So, Howard, thank you for your question. Next question, please.
Thank you, sir. Our next question today comes from George Gazelle out of San Antonio, Texas. Please go.
Greetings and salutations. Are you guys looking at firing Kathleen Kennedy or asking her to resign and promote somebody like Filoni or Favreau or both as a co-counsel?
Thank you for your question, George. We've been absolutely thrilled that we can have the kind of creative talent in our company, the likes of Kathy Kennedy to run Lucas. And we look forward to having Kathy directing the activities of the entire Lucasfilm organization for many years to come. Thank you for your question. Next question, please.
Now, I don't know if they let that answer through. To be honest with you, it sounded like they kind of wanted that one to get out there, right? How did that get all messed up? Oh, my goodness. Hang on a second. There we go. Now it's moving again. That's better. Okay. Yeah, it sounded like they wanted to get that one through so they could answer it directly right there. Kathleen Kennedy is the boss. Kathleen Kennedy is in charge. Kathleen Kennedy isn't going anywhere until Kathleen Kennedy wants to go somewhere. I understand she's 70 years old. I think 5 more years. I think she could be there 5 more years. That's just enough time to completely destroy Star Wars. Star Wars is dead. Star Wars has been dead since 2012. Disney Star Wars is alive and well, and it's an incompetent company. The Mandalorian has become just another troubled Kathleen Kennedy production. This will be a completely different show by the time season 3 rolls around. There is a 2-year break. Why would you take a 2-year break when this is the hottest thing going? It was the hottest show from 2020, and you take a break afterwards? You're kidding me, right? And then you develop a spin-off show of another guy behind a mask. I mean, artistically, that makes no sense. They're essentially the same character. And let's factor in, without Baby Yoda, what is this going to be? I mean, what is The Mandalorian without Baby Yoda? Without Baby Yoda, it is mediocre. Mediocre. And that's what you're going to get from Disney Plus. WandaVision wasn't terrible. It was mediocre. And it fell apart in the end. Boba Fett, I'm sure, won't be terrible if Jon Favreau is involved. It'll be mediocre. It'll be 22 to 37-minute episodes of very light entertainment, and that's not bad. Now, will they go down the full intersectional feminism highway? That remains to be seen. I'm convinced yes, but I don't care. Star Wars is lame. Disney Star Wars is lame. I don't want to cover it. I don't need to cover it, but what's interesting, the best part about Disney Star Wars is it's unintentional entertainment, because they are the most unintentionally entertaining thing out there right now. Not their actual content. It's everything around it. Their incompetent behavior, their horrific behavior towards their employees, a singular one named Gina Carano. What they did was foul, absolutely foul and unforgivable. And you guys aren't letting them forget. And that, again, is a beautiful thing. That's why I love fandom. You guys aren't toxic. No, these companies are toxic. They're the ones that pushed that whole fracking narrative. And the access media and the Disney consumers out there. While I do feel bad for Star Wars fans, you're going to have a rough week on this one, folks. Another rough week. Because they basically flipped the bird to all conservatives. And again, I'm not a conservative. I'm not a Republican. But if I were, I wouldn't give Disney any money. I wouldn't be taking my Girl Scout group to a theater to go see a Disney film. There's a lot of other stuff out there. And Disney is not the best. Right now, the only things he brought up was Disney Animation, Star Wars, and Marvel. That's all Disney is right now. Now, Marvel is the one thing that's still absolutely working for them. We'll see how long that goes, though. Because there was a reason Marvel was working, and it was the people behind it. Now, the people behind future Marvel projects are, I can't think of a term for them now, platformers, posers. That's a good one. They're fucking posers. Get to some of your questions here. All right. Today is the 10th. Tracer Bullet for $5. I'd like to see all YouTube simply ignore Disney for a couple of months and see what happens. Disney is living off the buzz being created here. You are absolutely correct, Tracer Bullet. I'm not going to deny that at all. Honestly, I was done making Star Wars videos until something big happened. This one is big. I probably should make a video on it, but I didn't feel like I needed to rush to it. I felt like I could talk about it in a live stream. But to your point of taking a couple of months off of just talking about them at all, well, there's one side. I think that makes a lot of sense maybe down the road. But when they're doing things that need to be called out, that aren't being called out by the access media, I think it's very necessary to point these things out. So I do believe there is a time we could do that in the future. Now, I I talk about Disney a lot on live streams, but I do not make a lot of videos about it. I don't make a lot of videos about anything, to be honest with you. But yes, I think there is a point where the apathy needs to sink in, and we need to ghost them. But I don't think we're there yet, because Disney's offenses need to be pointed out. There is a reason we exist here, and partially it's to entertain. At least my channel, I'll speak for my channel. It's entertainment. It's reviewing quote unquote prestige television on streaming services and genre television. And it's pop culture commentary, the good, the bad, and the ugly of pop culture. This is specifically under the ugly right now. But I am not in disagreement with you. I think there is a point where apathy has to set in. I think we're awfully close to that with Doctor Who, to be honest with you. It's, I mean, how much further can we go? I'll review season 3, but after season 13 of Jodie Whittaker's horrific season over 8 episodes. After that, I don't know. I don't think it'll be around, to be honest with you. Based on what I've heard, I don't think it'll be around. There is a reason they haven't confirmed that Jodie is leaving, and Jodie is leaving. Sir Pete, New York, for $4.99. Did you happen to see Red Bar's second video about you and Az responding to his first video? I didn't. Maybe we'll take a look at that a little bit later. Thank you for the $4.99. Commodore Stargazer for $5. Disney, nowhere else will you find such a wretched hive of scum and villainy. No, you will not. You will not. They are a nasty, petty little company that is fighting tooth and nail to get this Gina Carano stuff out of the news. And honestly, it would have been out of the news, but you guys have kept it in the news. As far as Disney Star Wars is concerned, to your point, Tracer Bullet, as far as reviewing their shows, that's where I have a conundrum, personally. And I'm just going to have to wait and see. But as it stands right now, I am not going to review Boba Fett. And I think I'm going to stick with that. I don't want to be bored. There'll be other entertainment out there. I gave up on reviewing The Mandalorian, and it was still considered good at that time. But it just wasn't worth my time. You know, it was tough. Cisco Kid, thank you for the $1.49 super sticker. I appreciate it. Jim Whitehead. And by the way, Cisco Kid, thank you. Anything helps. We appreciate you guys. Just being here helps. Click that like button. Thanks for being here. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. According to my analytics, a large number of you haven't subscribed to the channel, but you come back to watch the live stream. So maybe today is the day I earn your subscription. Thank you very much. Jim Whitehead for $5. What is needed for Disney shareholders is to drive off Bob Iger. Would a steak and holy water be enough? Bring back Buffy. Yes. Jim, I think Bob Iger's leaving. I think he's going to go terrorize China as their ambassador now. Bob Iger's not a youngster. The weatherman has been, he was in the company for 47 years. 47 years. Adrian Nazaruk for £5. I'm done with Disney. They destroyed decades of history and lore and show they don't care. No more Disney. No, didn't they just take Dumbo and a couple of other films off and put them in the adult section because of their problematic past? Where does this end? It doesn't end. And it's hilarious because these companies paid a lot of money to acquire this content, and now they're restricting themselves from showing it. And what they're going to do is drive the black market. Physical media, folks. Physical media. And learn how to make your own. Go get yourself a burner. I would recommend like animated stuff. You can just burn a DVD with films, burn a Blu-ray. It's real. It's time consuming, but it's possible. It's possible. And that's going to be the only way in the not too distant future you'll be able to have physical media. So make sure you have a backup Blu-ray player just in case the other one breaks. Who knows? Maybe this will create electronic repair shops again. You know, they're still out there, but yeah. Some entrepreneur, make a little cheddar. CP the Nerd for $2. Tons of far leftists think they're centrists. Yes. Oh, yes. That was a very eye-opening conversation I had with a couple of my friends up in San Francisco. I was at an AA meeting and we were discussing the politics, and they were very surprised at some of my views. And I'm like, really? Okay. And the thing is, both of them were lifelong San Franciscans. And one of them had never traveled out of San Francisco, like in his entire life. So he has no idea what the outside world of that bubble is. And he thought he was just in the middle. And I'm like, well, some people might not, you know, some people might not. Darth Mick for $5. In the 50s, there were some commies in Hollywood. Now they're all commies in Hollywood. Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of them. And yeah, no apologies here. Not a fan of the communism. Sam Whiskey for $1.99. Is Kurtzman directing the new Star Trek movie? Oh, God. I hope so, Sam. Please make a Star Trek Discovery movie, put it in the theaters, and have Alex Kurtzman write and direct it. That's what I want for Christmas, Santa Claus. I heard they're actually, they hired a writer, but this is CBS marketing. This is it's virtue marketing. It's virtue marketing. You find a very diverse person to hire as a writer, then you announce it, and then you go find investors and you blackmail them into giving you money. What, you don't want to support a project written by a POC, you racist bigot, you? Oh, yeah. It's a shakedown. It's an absolute shakedown. Ta-Nehisi Coates writing a Superman movie, and now there's rumors that, well, of course, J.J. Jar Jar was not going to direct it. He was always going to produce it. And they want this Superman to be DC's Black Panther. See, because that's what Jar Jar does. He sees what people have done that's successful, and he copies it. He copies it because he is a creative hack. He is an absolute hack. But he is the very, very best at Hollywood politics and acquiring power. Nick Nero for $4.99. As yesterday with the live stream, Gary, today, while I deliver packages 6 days a week for 12 hours. Nice to have someone to listen to that I can relate to. Wow, Nick, thank you and good luck. And thank you for doing that, by the way. We appreciate you busting your ass out there. And yeah, I'm happy to keep you company. Nick, I was you 20 years ago. I was delivering auto parts and listening to Jim Rome and sports radio and Howard Stern. And yeah, it's so weird to be doing this now. And I fracking love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. I am insanely happy. Not happy with the things I used to love. And yeah, again, I will report on Disney Star Wars like this, but as far as reviewing The Bad Batch, not going to do it. Boba Fett, no, I won't do it. I just won't. I don't care. I'm not a Star Wars channel. Just not. We will all miss the days of Transformers. We all mocked these movies, but Christ, were they better than the Church of Karl Marx. The Grizzly, you're absolutely correct. You know what? I was talking about this, about the Snyder Cut, right? And Justice League and the DCEU. I went back and I watched Batman versus Superman through the lens of modern year. And I'm like, wow. It's just a superhero movie. Yeah, it's spastic and overblown, and it's got a mess of a third act. But to be honest with you, with the ultimate cut, 2/3 of that movie, the first 2/3 were good. I was like locked in. And I've never hated those movies, but I like them a lot more now just because they're not filled with that shit. And it's got the superheroes doing superhero stuff. That's all I ask. But, you know, now you can have a superpowered woman and a superpowered man, but they can't fight each other. You can't have a man striking a superpowered woman in a fictional superhero movie. You can't. That is a rule in Hollywood. You watch when Doctor Strange fights Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, in his movie, he will not be able to strike her. He might be able to throw some laser beams at her or whatever spells he's going to do, but, the drinker pointed this out in his Ragnarok. Or no, it was What Happened to Supervillains. And he was talking about how Thor did not have a final battle with Hela. No, he had to trick her at the end, because they couldn't have a fully powered Thor fighting Hela, which is what we are expecting. And that's that little thing in the back of your mind. You're like, God, I enjoyed this, but there's something wrong about this. It feels like they're editing themselves. It feels like something's missing. Same thing with WandaVision. Now, Disney has come out and given, I don't know if you guys heard this or not, but they blame the Coof for toxic white male not being a very well-developed character. Apparently, there was a lot of stuff left on the cutting room floor because of the Coof, and the effects team didn't have enough time to make the effects. I ask, why? Why not just push back the release date and give a much better finished product? So that tells you, Disney Plus subscriber, which I am not, they are willing to put unfinished crap because they just want to put, it's all about content. It's not about the individual movie. It's not about the individual show. This should be the golden age. There's a lot of money flowing around. And we have a paradigm shift in entertainment, but Hollywood is fumbling, absolutely fumbling. Randomize for $4.99. Hail, Gary. Not been able to watch live for a while due to work. Well, that's okay. I would rather have you work. But tonight, but I'm here tonight and loving it. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Randomize. And I'm glad you're at work. It's okay. You can always watch this later on Nerdrotic Live. That's where all of the live streams go when they are done. Grant Kelbrick with 140 Zardazes. It's a ZAR and it's from South Africa. What's up, Grant? How are you? Just received The Prisoner media as well as the entire old black and white series of The Lone Ranger. Can't wait to watch. Also making my way through Doctor Who Season 2. So damn good. There is still good stuff out there. Oh, yes, there's plenty of good stuff out there. It's just in the past, and that's fine. I go back and I will never stop watching old Doctor Who. I fucking love old Doctor Who. I will never get tired of it. I have been watching it pretty much constantly for 10 years. And there's stuff I haven't seen yet. I am about to embark on Babylon 5 and I'm very excited about it. And then after that, it's Stargate. And then after that, I'm going to rewatch Farscape, and hopefully I have a couple of rather insanely talented YouTubers who want to talk about it with me too. Listening to you dragging Disney is the best self-care, says Joe J for 10 Peruvian pesos. Thank you very much. And well, it's very easy to do. I'm genuinely pissed at that corporation because of what they have done to fandom. Specifically what Disney Star Wars, Lucasfilm, has done to fandom. It is corporate sponsored fan hate, corporate sponsored cancel culture. Their employees attack fans online, talk shit to fans online, and these employees act like they're George Lucas, and they are hacks. What Disney Star Wars produces, they don't deserve your adoration. They don't deserve your money. It's half-ass, low effort, no effort. I mean, a fracking rock, an asexual Han Solo. And his name is, it's not an anagram, but it's a hidden message about some pope being gay. That's what Disney Star Wars is. It's not the Luke Skywalker return. It's geode. It's doing well because the Fed is printing money. You are so correct, Alberto Bonsanto, for 20 Mexican dollars. Absolutely correct. They're printing the funny money. It's a construct. It's all fake. Justin Foster for 50 Canadian pesos. Hello, Gary. Have you seen the trailer for Nobody? Looks anti-woke and non-intersectional. Essentially, a guy getting his sack back. You should give it a peek if you have a chance. I will, Justin. I will. That sounds interesting. You know, there is signs. Now, I don't know what these signs mean. It could be just a trap. Superman and Lois, now I haven't watched the latest episode. I'm going to do it after this live stream, is really good. And I promise you, I will make a video on this. Now, there have been a lot of people legitimately so saying, you know what? You point out the bad and the ugly of pop culture. You need to once in a while point out the good. And you're right. There just hasn't been any until now. Superman and Lois is the good so far of pop culture. It's on the CW. I have no logical explanation for this other than they're probably going to trap us and turn it into some super woke intersectional thing down the road. But as it stands right now, it's a damn good show. It's a modern nuclear family, and they're not trying to break it down. It's got two kids that are cast pretty well. I would say very well, to be honest with you. One kid has the potential to be really annoying, and he's not. And it's great what they do. They restrain themselves. There's so many places they could go woke and preachy, and they just stop right there. They stop. And it's a great balance of the drama and the Superman stuff. And yes, and I didn't come up with this analogy, but it's Man of Steel meets Friday Night Lights. And Friday Night Lights was not a terrible show. It's not really the show I'm into, but it wasn't terrible. So good. Fucking fantastic. I would love to report on more of this. I wanted to come back at you and say WandaVision is it. In the beginning, it was doing exactly what it was supposed to do. It was getting people to theorize. It was making people crack open their old Avengers books like I was. Shit, I broke open my Hot Toys, and I actually bought a couple too because I was kind of fired up about Marvel again. I'm like, God dang, I almost forgot what this feeling was like, and it had a lot to do with the drought of the coof and entertainment, but I was dialed into a Marvel product, and I was like, no, like this is what it felt like, a few years ago. I was like really into this shit. And when I get into something, man, I want to buy it all, read it all, get back into it. My Avengers books were in San Francisco. Thankfully, Mrs. Nerdrotic brought down my box of Avengers books. I have the complete run of the Avengers from 1 to 600, all the volumes. And, I started reading the old John Byrne stuff, and it was so good and so much better than what we got in the show. And the reason we didn't get it in the show is the showrunner doesn't read comics. She didn't read, or she could have taken the show to a lot of great, interesting places that wouldn't have hurt her values. Oh, we'll get to that. But I really wanted to come back and say, this is good. This is different. And this is what comic book storytelling should be on a streaming service. It should absolutely be the number one destination for comic book storytelling, not films, serialized storytelling, because comic books are not all big battles against beams of light. Yes, there's superpower beings beating the shit out of each other, but there's usually a very long, drawn-out story that gives you a lot of context to why they are battling. And the one thing Marvel mostly miss is the emotional impact of a battle, of a climax, because sometimes they've built up over years. It's impossible for Hollywood to make a Kraven's Last Hunt. They could never make it correctly because Kraven's Last Hunt was built up over 2 decades. Kraven was a villain for Spider-Man. He's essentially the Ra's al Ghul of Spider-Man. And Craven, has fought him for years. They didn't really know what to do with the villain in the 80s, and they came up with a brilliant concept. He was dying, and he decided to have his last hunt, take on his first enemy by taking over his enemy. And you cannot tell that story without the 20 years of context before. And that story blew everyone's mind who had read Spider-Man for 2 years, 5 years, 20 years. And it's a go-to story, but the emotional impact won't be there if you hadn't read a lot of Spider-Man. Mike Zeck at his prime. Just occurred to me that if you put a wig on Vladimir Putin, you get more than passing resemblance to Kathleen Kennedy. Never seen in the same room, those two, and similarly dangerous to oppose. Vladimir Kennedy, hail Gary. Benjamin Gaskell for 20 pounds. I will try that on Friday Night Tights. I will Photoshop a wig on Putin, and we'll see. We'll see. I've got a few Photoshop skills. Keaton Smith for 5 pounds. Hail Gary, I picked up 2 Cyberfrog sketch cards and Salamandroid Chromium Blood Honey from EVS eBay yesterday. Hail CG, can't wait for Wreck Planet. Yeah, I can't either. And that's what EVS is doing, his own effing thing. He told the entire industry to go F itself, and good for him, and he's been very successful at it, and that is your roadmap right there. Not everybody can do what Ethan can do, though. Ethan is exceedingly talented at art and as a host on YouTube. And what Ethan is proving is, sometimes people are talented at one specific thing, and then some people are just multiple talented. Ethan can play an instrument very well, sing a song, write a book, draw a book, and host long live streams. And most in the comic book industry can't do that. Most in the comic book industry are a little bit socially inept. Now, there's a couple guys out there that I think will be great at it, but they, I'm not going to mention their names. They have really bought into the Hollywood system, so they're just repeating a lot of the NPC stuff, so they wouldn't be very successful. Stephen T for 5 pounds. Hail, Gary. You are dude. Thanks for making my week better. Peace. Thank you. Thank you. And Doctor Who's a dude. Doctor Who's a dude. The Doctor is a man. Let's say that correctly. The Doctor is a male character. And if that triggers some people, sorry, it's just a fact. And my proof is the last 2 years of Doctor Who, every video I've made, every video Bulls Trek made, the 2 great videos that Dave Cullen made, every video Az made, every video Doomcock made, every video Clownfish TV made, every video, with the Noel at the TARDIS Zone, Type 40 podcast, all the good guys out there. Ian, my boy Ian out there, they've all, the case has been laid out. It is an absolute fact. The Doctor's a dude. And the specific proof is they didn't make Jodie just another Doctor. They had to remake the entire show and rewrite or give her her own separate mythology. Well, then you're a separate character. And that means it didn't work. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry if that hurts some people's feelings who were slumping up those male tears and then moved on to the next thing and never watched the fucking show. Turns out your victory wasn't a victory. Detritus for $2. Hey, Gary, pimp TARDIS behind you. Cheers, man. Oh, you know what this is? You know what this is? Hang on. Let me get to my thing. There we go. That is a refrigerator. It's a mini refrigerator. It's got a bottle of water in it, and it works. Yeah, I love that thing. This thing right here is from the Cannes Film Festival. That was the brochure. I just got it. Somebody sent it to me. That was it's a linen hardcover brochure of the Fellowship of the Rings that they passed out at the Cannes Film Festival. You guys sent me the coolest shit. I love you guys. That will be in the next Toxic mailbag, by the way. All right. So, you guys are fantastic, by the way. Thank you for being here. Zathras for £5. Yes, nooner. We love a nooner. My partner and me were on the way out to go shopping for food. Nerdrotic nooner rolls in. We can't leave. No shopping. Oh, just you can listen to me on the phone. You don't need to watch. Zathras, but cool. Thanks. No, they will be much more consistent, especially after the move. But yeah, they're going to happen more often. They are going to happen more often. I've got some help on the way. Can we cancel Dr. Fauci instead of Dr. Who's? Dr. Seuss says, Ryan's Burn Fun Chum for £2. I would be happy to. Yeah, I am not really down with appointed people who stay in government forever and don't really practice what they are supposed to be an expert on. That's just my humble opinion. Obviously, the coof is a very dangerous thing. It's a real thing that we have to live with now for the rest of our lives. And it turns out Dr. Fauci and the CDC and every politician out there decided not to point out the one most obvious thing with the coof. I hopefully got straight to the point on Twitter yesterday. The CDC reported yesterday that 78% of the people who went to the hospital were obese and overweight. Now, there has been this, and I am not here to shame anyone. There are reasons people are obese and overweight. I have been obese and overweight in the past, and my doctor told me the truth. My doctor said, you need to lose weight or you'll live a shorter life. And I'm like, okay, well, I've already abused the hell out of my body with a bunch of drugs, so the life is probably going to be shorter anyway. I don't want it to be extra shorter. So I went out and did something about it. Now, it's not easy, but I did something about it. And we could have spent the last year, Eric July did a great video on this. We could have spent the last year focusing on health. Now, you don't have to be bone skinny. You don't have to have ripped abs. But if you go out and walk an hour and give up soda, you probably, it would be very helpful. And guess what? If you're at the right weight for your height and age, you're going to survive the coof. And they, of course, it got politicized and stuff. I'm all about working out. I'm addicted to the gym. It's as good for your mind, if not better, than it is for your body. And it's kept me sober for a long, long time. It helped me survive working out, helped me survive prison, kept me from going insane during captivity. It's very, very good for you. Even a light workout where you just go walk on a treadmill. Just go to the gym and walk on a treadmill for half an hour. Put on some headphones, listen to a live stream. It's great for you. Absolutely great. Great for your heart. Jaeger Bomb 2 for $5. While get woke, go broke is true, commies, SJWs, don't care. They just want to destroy everything. How do you win against them before it's too late? Jaeger Bomb? That's a good question. How do we beat them? By pointing it out when it happens and continually doing so until we get through to everyone. As I stated before, I had a social event recently. Here. Was it legal? I don't know. I don't give a shit. I didn't get the coof. And I talked to some very old friends of mine, who some of them I haven't seen in a decade. My San Diego friends, people I grew up with. Jesse, Billy, Kurt. And I rolled with these guys. We rolled together back in the day. Got a lot of trouble. And talking to them, from all sides of the aisle, we were all in agreement especially how the California government handled the coof was ridiculous. But we got to talking about Star Wars, and they were complete normies. They don't know much about nerddom. And one of them brought up, I don't want to say what specific person's name. I'm not trying to shame him, but he brought up Mike Zero. And, you know, this is not a person who watches a lot of Fandom Menace stuff or watches a lot of YouTube. This is a person that pokes into YouTube once in a while, the vast majority, and is a Star Wars fan. So they just thought Mike Zero was giving the news, you know? And I had, and hearing that I was like, wow, okay, that explains it. I thought people just went to Mike Zero for a laugh. And listen, I have no problem with Mike Zero and what he does. I understand what he does. He creates content. He gives Star Wars information from the future. And if you look at it, there's a lot of plausible deniability. He could say it's an act. It was a comedy act, whatever it is. My personal feeling is that it's all bullshit. I'm sure that a lot of you are in agreement. But my friend didn't see it that way because, you know, he's not dialed into YouTube, right? And all this stuff. So he just thought it was information, like legit information. So I'm like, no, as far as I know, and I don't know this for a fact, I got to say that it's just a guy who found a trick with the algorithm and has just been running the same thing over and over again for years. And once in a while, every 6 months or so, it hits for him. For a long time, you know, his channel will be nothing and then it'll hit. That's his right to do it, by the way. I don't care that people are out there running rumors. I know there's a lot of them. I don't believe 99% of them. I don't. But I don't think they should not be on YouTube. Anybody can be on YouTube who wants to be on YouTube. I don't think it affects fandom in any way, shape, or form because I don't think you guys are dumb. I think you guys know bullshit from reality. And if people just go to Mike Zero for entertainment, good. Then he's done his job. He's entertained you. Hail Gary and Doomcock. I can't stay long tonight, but just love your judgments. Keep fighting the good fight. Phoenix Tangent, thank you for the $4.99. Yeah. It was fiery last weekend, especially with WandaVision. And the thing that pissed me off about WandaVision was the intersectional feminism that crept in and ruined the show. And it had the morals of Wonder Woman 1984. It straight up did. You remember when Wonder Woman raped that guy? Remember that? Yeah. And it was just okay because it's a woman. Well, we had a woman in prison, thousands of people torturing them because they were aware of their situation and they couldn't control it. They will be broken for the rest of their lives. And she did this to children too. She had an 8-year-old locked in a room the entire time. And what do they follow it up with? A sister moment. A sister moment between her and Monica Rambeau. And our hero, Monica Rambeau, who was just shoehorned in to introduce another superhero, said, I would have done the same thing. It's okay. You go, girl. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? And then toxic white male, shoots at kids. Well, technically, those kids weren't real. And his motivation was absolutely on point until the very end when he's like, I want to create a vision to take over the world, blah, whatever he wanted to do. But the character was in the right. And the problem is Hollywood morals and values are getting so fucked up. They don't know right from wrong anymore. And you see this creeping in, specifically, I don't want to go off too much on a tangent. They're in The Expanse, book 6, Babylon's Ashes. There is a character named Michio Pa. This character, Michio Pa, is essentially Hitler's right-hand woman. She is complicit in killing billions of people in this book on Earth. And by the end of the story, they make her the head of the OPA and Holden and everybody is clapping for her because she's just so stunning and brave. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. This woman participated in killing billions of people and she's cool because why can't a woman just be powerful? And they're like, I put the book down and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And it's the same thing. It's the same thing. And it's this separation from reality and common sense and Hollywood quote unquote values. Geode Bio remains rock hard even after intercourse. Frugal only buys items on shale. Loves to get stoned to a fault. Never takes Mary Jane for granted. Admits Disney Star Wars has hit rock bottom. Scott Hudson, thank you. That was beautiful. For $10. He's here all week. Try the veal. Let she who is without talent cast the first stone. Hail DC and Nerdrotic. Have a great show. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We've got, there we go, donations here. We're going to go to the donations portion of this. And that is circumventing YouTube. They don't get a penny of this. A lot of people asked for this. It took me a year to get here. Thank you very much for suggesting it. And thank you for all your donations. I do not take any of these for granted. By the way, if I don't get to all the super chats and donations, I do eventually in a very specific recording I do on Nerdrotic Live called the Super Chat Square Up. Toxic mailbag. We go over all the stuff you send me, and I give each question its time that it deserves. Unfortunately, I am always limited on time, especially, I'm a parent. I'm a parent. I got mad at my kid today. I feel terrible when I do that. I feel terrible. I didn't, yell at him or anything. I was just very stern. And sometimes he gets, he doesn't like that. But he did something he wasn't supposed to do. He was doing what every kid is doing with these Zoom classes, right? He's playing a video game, and I totally caught him. So I walked into his room, and he's like, and all of a sudden the Zoom room is back up again. I'm all, dude. And I'm like, I should have taken the video games away right there. I'm not. I'm a big softy sometimes. So, yeah, but he was bummed. For $10, when you start to watch Babylon 5, watch Gakar and Malari. What are they? The interactions, and they split words up. And man, I have a hard time reading words when they're together. Interactions and the development of those two characters. I will. Oh my God. You guys are so excited that we're watching Babylon 5. So next Tuesday, Az and I are going to cover it. BB&C I've got to ask Az if he can move the time up. I have been asked to be on a show that same day, a little later in the day. So I'm going to ask Az if he can move the BBC up an hour. We do have an announcement on BBC next week too. BBC is a show I do with Az from Heel versus Babyface, where we sometimes we get in the culture war stuff, but we mainly talk about comic books. The Martian B for $5. Thank you. Or it's the Martin, or it's the Martian B. That's it. Thank you for the $5 donation. I appreciate it. Bird of Prey 5 Kapla for $2. No need to read out loud. Okay. Let's see what it says though. Like that. Oh, okay. Hang on, folks. Stay tuned. Let's see if we get, oh, no. They did not do this. Oh, God. Please still be up. Please still be up. Hang on a second. There you go. Oh no. If you, well, let's put this on blast, shall we? Let's make sure I'm on the right thing here. Give me just a moment, folks. We got a little bit of breaking news here. Little bit of breaking news. You're probably wondering what I'm squealing about. Well, Bird of Prey 5 just sent me a link to a YouTube channel called Paramount Plus. And on this YouTube channel, they're showing the premiere of Star Trek Discovery. Let me get this framed right. There we go. And apparently, the comments have not been shut off yet. Now, I don't know how many people have noticed this. Let's go take a look. We've got 1,200 likes, 173. I have seen this episode, and I don't like it. So it's legit. Now, listen, I'm not telling anybody to go over here. Actually, we want to make sure they keep the comments up as long as possible. So, yeah, none of our people have gotten over there. Oh, wow. Assaulted the captain, attempted mutiny. Things have changed in 300 or so years. Can't really suspend my disbelief on such blatantly stupid premises. And that is a genuine review from Larry Bush. Larry Bush. The Vulcan logic quiz sounds like the typical 10-year-old's idea of thinking through a complex problem, an endless stream of instant responses compromised of trivial facts. Jeopardy, anyone? These are real Star Trek fans. Not loving what they did to the Klingons. I think I need to figure out what the timeline is. Sorry, DS9, more my jam. What did they do to the poor Klingons? That is sad. I would have probably enjoyed this episode more if Star Trek had not been in the title. Isn't this like 3 years old? Funny how a paywall can make you lose interest in a show. Oh boy. Yeah, so that's up. I'm guessing that won't stay up very long. That's just me and my guess. Thank you, Bird of Prey 5. Cody S. for $1. Did you see Deceased or Superman and Batman versus the Batman Who Laughs? Thoughts? I did not read Deceased. No, I gave up on DC Comics right when that started. Now, the Batman Who Laughs, I did read that, and I thought it was a good, quirky little story that shouldn't have been repeated over and over again. I do want to read the Three Jokers, right? But I haven't had the desire to read anything new from DC and Marvel. I'll tell you the day it happened, Cody S. It was the day Tom King tried to cancel Jay Lee. Tom King, a writer for Batman, who's absolutely cucked Batman, took Batman's balls away, had him stood up by Catwoman, and they had this big wedding event planned a couple of years ago where comic shops were involved, and they were never planning on marrying Catwoman and Batman. It was a big fuck over. They fucked over the comic shops. So Tom King is an asshole. He likes to cancel people, and he tried to cancel Jay Lee. Jay Lee did a cover for Ethan Van Sciver. It was a business decision. It was, hello, Jay Lee, I want to pay you cheddar to draw a cover on my comic. Jay Lee, he likes to live, eat, pay his bills, go out, have a little fun with his significant other, and he's a very talented artist, said, yes, Ethan Van Sciver, former professional at DC Comics, your Cyberfrog comic looks very interesting, and I would love to draw a cover. And he drew a very good cover. Tom King goes on Twitter one day and goes, I'm a super soyified cuck boy, and I really just don't feel good about myself. Who can I cancel today? And he decided to just wake up in the morning and cancel Jay Lee, an Asian man. A white man tried to cancel an Asian man. He's got a problem with this, by the way. So did anybody call Tom King out? Does Tom King not work at DC anymore? No, Tom King works at DC, and he damn near canceled Jay Lee. Jay Lee got destroyed for a little while, and he got inundated with messages on that day. The day Tom King decided to cancel Jay Lee was driving down here to San Diego from LA to bury his dog that just died with his girlfriend. And he also learned that his career might be over because some punk ass bitch writer decided to wake up and cancel him because that punk ass bitch writer is a fucking Karen. By the way, Tom King likes to tell you this. He used to work for the CIA. Thank fucking God we don't have a bitch like that working in the CIA. Now, I'm blocked by Tom King now. You know, former comic shop owner, lifelong comic book reader, because Tom King did not like my response to his trying to cancel Jay Lee. Good. Now, and again, it was just for Jay Lee taking a job, you know, just because, oh, okay, well, if you take a job from a company, are you then associated with their actions? Okay, Tom King, you work for Marvel, which is owned by Disney. Are you going to answer for the concentration camp, for Disney filming a movie right next to that camp? Are you going to answer for that? Are you going to answer for writers not being paid? Are you going to answer for a company lying about Gina Carano and trying to end her career? Matt Deckard for $3. Gorgonak is the rock monster from Galaxy Quest. More to look at than Geode. Gorignac is the rock monster from Galaxy Quest. Yes. Oh, I forgot what his name was. I love fucking Galaxy Quest. That's such a great movie. It is. And yes, it's a lot more to look at, and it was pretty well done. Pretty well done. Thanks, Matt Deckard. A Captain Spire for a $5 donation. Update on the Patreon page. Oh, and Gorignac was the alien word for rock in Galaxy Quest. Okay. So it's, I don't even know if I'm spelling it right. I left what do you mean update on the Patreon page, Captain Spire? The Patreon page is closed. It's been closed since February. Unfortunately, Subscribestar and Patreon make it very, very, like, keep this in mind, folks, if you start up a Patreon and especially a Subscribestar. They are insanely hard to quit. Like, remember fucking AOL back in the day? Like, once you downloaded AOL, it was like a fucking spider web in your computer, and it was just impossible to get out. Well, Subscribestar makes you go to each one of your followers and ask them to unfollow before you leave. And Patreon won't let me. So I have to go in each month and just stop the payment and stop. But no, do not, like, my Patreon, I have no outstanding links to it. Patreon, Captain Spire, I told you that a couple of months ago. There's a post on my Patreon saying it's over. It's done. And the reason I couldn't do it was I just didn't have time. I didn't have time. Lady Gravemaster, my producer, former producer, things didn't work out, so she moved on. Unfortunately, I needed, I'm going to be in the future hiring 2 people to help run this, because there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and I need to focus on content. So, yeah, I couldn't keep up with Patreon. Now, the people on the upper tier, we have since gotten their addresses and sent them. We're going to send them. I think we did this already. If we hadn't, I'll check with Mrs. Nerdrotic. I thought she did it already. We sent them a package. If it hasn't been done, then we'll do it in the next month. I canceled my Disney Plus, as did I, subscription and feel good. I was born in 1996, or 69, sorry. So you're born the same year I was. Joined the Army at 16 during the Cold War in the 80s, and being based just outside Berlin allowed me to see cultural manipulation of what was and of what for what it was and is negative to the masses. So he said it allowed me to see cultural manipulation for what it was, and it is negative to the masses. Yeah, you were right there at the Berlin Wall. You saw East Germany, which is essentially what Disney is right now, is effing East Germany. The way they're treating people, if you are not on our side, you're on no side, and you will be canceled. Vigilante Williamson for $5. What's up, VW? By the way, check out VW's channel. It's an up-and-coming channel. We have a great group of up-and-coming channels. I have been telling, I do my member streams every Sunday, and I tell each and every person that, you know what? If you like entertainment, you have the gift of gab, start a YouTube channel. It's a great hobby, especially during like a pandemic. You know, get a good mic and start it, and you might like it if you're into that kind of thing. And a lot of people have done that, and they've done great. They've done great. We got Culture Casino out there. We got Sporking News Podcast. We got author Stephen Walton. We've got Lorena Creel. We've got Vigilante Williamson. We got Jake D. I'm forgetting somebody. Oh my God. I'll remember it later. Brain fart. But he says, Kathleen Kennedy will never be fired ever. She has too much pull, knows where the Hollywood bodies are buried. Absolutely agree with you. And that's what I have said since late 2019. Now, in the beginning, after Solo, I think her job was in jeopardy. And I was very much in the belief that she would be fired. After I saw her survive Solo, I became less convinced. And by the end of The Fall of Skywalker, I was like, nope, she's staying. She'll leave when she wants to leave. Because I saw there is a reason they premiered The Mandalorian during The Fall of Skywalker. If you think about it as a business decision, that's stupid. It makes no sense. You had Star Wars competing with Star Wars. But they went ahead and pulled the trigger because they knew the Disney trilogy was garbage. And they're like, okay, turn the page. And that's what they did. And it saved Kathleen Kennedy's job, or it cemented her position. Not really sure. Now, I discussed this. I haven't done a specific video on this. This is something I'm asked about quite a bit. So I'm going to address it here. Once again, rumors. I think there was a lot of people who were holding out hope that Disney Star Wars would turn things around based on fan projection and rumors. Again, Disney had not given any inclination that they were going to turn things around other than Jon Favreau's Mandalorian, which has been very safe, very homogenized as hell, filled with member berries and very strategically placed Easter eggs. And that's all Luke Skywalker was in the end, was a strategically placed Easter egg that made a lot of people happy, but it was not a sign of what direction Disney is going in. Yes, it contradicts a lot of what Kathleen Kennedy was doing, but the evidence of the Kathleen Kennedy method far outweighs the Jon Favreau method. For one, Kathleen Kennedy runs Lucasfilm. She is not barred from the set at The Mandalorian. There are pictures of her on the set at The Mandalorian during season 2. And what I highly suggest everyone do is, again, I'm not against people talking about rumors. Talking about them all day long. That's what fandom is based on. You can also theorize and all that. That's part of fandom, and I get it, and it's welcome here, and I have no problem with it. But when I hear a rumor, I go, wow, some of them sound too good to be true. Some of them sound pretty legit, and I'm not sure on others. So I just go and look. And it's pretty easy to look. So, for example, And I'm not the only person to do this. I'm not acting like I'm the only person to do this. When George Lucas was rumored to have a Lucas cut for The Fall of Skywalker, I went, okay, is George Lucas at the ranch? Is he at the ranch? Is he in Burbank? Is he in Hollywood? No, he was in Chicago. Would George Lucas, at his age, go and recut an entire film? You can't just go in, by the way, and recut an ending. You have to go over the entire film. As an editor, I used to be a professional for a slight minute. I was a professional editor. You can't just go in, I'm going to cut these 5 minutes without looking over everything else, or at least having reference to everything else. You just can't. At least I didn't. Now, you're given specific projects, and that's why editing is no fun. Depending on where you work, they tell you what to edit, basically. It's like, wow. Like, right down to, like, where to, I mean, like, what's my job then? Okay. Now, some people are allowed a lot more creativity. Most of the creativity in editing is in reality, by the way, which was a lot of where my work was. So I digress. George Lucas wouldn't just come in and go, well, I'm going to edit the end here. It didn't happen. Okay. Were there test screenings? Yes, there were test screenings, but there weren't test screenings for the public. It was all semantics with that. There were test screenings with Disney employees and insiders. Yes, they did show it to people to see what their reaction was. There were test screenings, but there weren't public test screenings. Okay, so Doomcock was right on that one, and Jar Jar wasn't lying. You understand? They don't just run a film out without rolling it by a few people. Now, is Jar Jar going to listen to anybody at a test screening? No, of course not. Is George going to listen to anybody? Of course not. But when it comes specifically to the erasure of the Disney trilogy, not happening. It's not happening. Were they thinking about it? I have no idea. I'm not there. I doubt it. I think they're ready to just move on, and they can use all of The Mandalorian to build up to the Disney trilogy and add context to it, just like the Clone Wars did to the prequels. And quite frankly, the Clone Wars animated series was immensely helpful to the prequels. Immensely helpful. So I'm thinking they're just going to do the same thing. This is all a story I could give a fuck about. It's a bad story. It destroyed Han Solo. It destroyed Luke Skywalker. I'm done with it. Star Wars does not pique my interest. It barely. The only reason I'm angry now is because of Gina Carano. As far as like destroying Luke Skywalker and Han Solo, damage done. Don't give a fuck anymore. It can all burn down tomorrow. Don't care. Yes, I have black-pilled Star Wars because there's a time when you just go, enough. This shit ain't turning around. And I feel genuinely bad for Star Wars Theory or Echo Base who have to go out there and go, well, maybe this time Kathleen Kennedy has learned her lesson. Really? Kathleen Kennedy, you know what lesson she learned? I'm the fucking boss. That's the lesson she learned. You think she gives two fucks about like what Star Wars Theory says? She should. She absolutely should, but she doesn't. One of her employees directly attacked arguably the biggest cheerleader for Star Wars, a guy who's making Star Wars fans, and he still works there. If one of my employees went up to my best customer and mocked him, that would not be my employee anymore. You know, I've been a boss. And if my store had the atmosphere that Lucasfilm has, I wouldn't have a store. Nobody'd want to shop there. It would be the stereotypical comic shop where people walk in and there's somebody behind the counter reading a fucking comic book and not acknowledging your presence and sounding annoyed when you like. That's the one thing I set out to crush was, no, we're going to have friendly fucking people. We're not going to be a bunch of snobs here. Lucasfilm's filled with a bunch of pretentious, vapid assholes. Now, there are some really good people out there that work there. There are, including a friend of mine. I have a friend who works there, a friend for many, many years. We do not discuss his work. Sure, it would be great to have a bunch of inside knowledge from my channel, but I don't want to get him fired. So we do not discuss things. Other than, actually, he's a big Hot Toys fan. That's mainly what we talk about. But, yeah, the good people there can't speak up. They're afraid to speak up. They're scared. It's East fucking Germany. Polaris sucks. I was on Reddit on World News, and there was a thread on those camps in China about people who concentrate. Almost every Reddit comment was anti-USA and Canada and pro-China. They aren't even hiding their paid shills anymore. Nope, they don't need to. Look at the shit they've gotten away with. Thank you, Polaris Sucks, for 238. Look at the shit they've gotten away with. They're blatant. Yeah, the mask is off, and I am grateful for that. The mask is almost completely off. Disney. God, that is good coffee. Oh. Yes. We have a $100 super chat here. From Waldo865. Waldo, shoot me a question. Hit at Nerdrotics. Any question. Thank you for the $100 donation. My God. Part of the proceeds from this show go to my mom's rent, and she thanks you. My mom is, I have two moms. They're not lesbians. Long story. I'm adopted. The mom who raised me is very elderly. She's had a lot of health problems. That was part of the reason we moved down to San Diego here before we exited California. Also, Mel's dad had health problems, and as you know, he passed in November, which is still very, very sad. Yet I don't want to kidnap an entire town and torture their minds over grief, which we'll talk about in a second. So yeah, you guys actually, it's helped immensely. She's getting the care she needs. She has gotten her COOF vaccine, and she's gone past that. So now she can see her grandson again, which is very, very cool. The grandson, that's a little bummed at me right now. Okay. So this one says not for on air. I'm just going to read it. Okay, Chris. I will email me, Chris, at gary@nerdrotic.com. The Chris who donated $1 and gave a donation that says not for air. Please email me. Cody S. for $1. Read synopsis to Predator 5 plot on bloody disgusting strong Comanche whammon going against gender norms. Oh, I think I did read Predator 5? What? Okay. All right. So there was supposed to be a Predator. Yeah, I can't find it. Sorry, but I have heard that before. I have read that before. Yes. And I remember tweeting about it, like it's going to be a non-binary predator fighting pronouns or something like that. Yeah, that's what everything's going to be. By the way, I need to shout out a book. I promised him I'd do this. So let's do this real quick. Sorry for all these pauses. I can announce our guest for Friday Night Tights, the return of Just Some Guy. Just Some Guy is very popular. People have asked him to be a permanent member of the team. And the only reason I haven't asked him is like I know he's a busy guy, but I maybe I should. I don't know. I mean, like, and we can rotate people in, but I fucking Just Some Guy is one of the best YouTubers. And I would say he is the critical drinker of comic book reviews. Absolutely on point every single time. So we got a member of the Dark Council. His name is Fatal J. Fatal J is a good guy. And I'm trying to get to the link. There you go. So Fatal J has a comic book. I'm trying to get to the right link here. I should have just studied this at first, but I didn't. So sue me. Oh, I meant to retweet his post. Okay, so I'll shout it out here, and I'm going to retweet it right now. So I meant to retweet this. And his post was, let me hide my messages here. Fatal J, again, he's a member of the Dark Council. He's in the Fandom Menace, and he's also a big Snyder Cut guy and a good guy. Fatal J's Ninja Blast comic book drops this week on Indiegogo. Please support an independent creator and join my email list to remain updated when it drops. I just retweeted it on my Twitter account. And again, that's Fatal J. Give him a follow. He's also got a YouTube channel. He's a very good guy, and we love the Dark Council, and we want to support every up-and-coming creator we can who is out there doing his own thing and trying to make his way, you know, and her way. So thank you, Fatal J, for going out there. He's funny. He's funny. We love him. We love him. Hail Fatal J. I'm glad I remembered that. All right. Again, that link will be on the tweet as well. So WandaVision. And this is all connected with Disney. And their approach. So Bob Chapek, again, made it very clear they're going to have a very social justice approach. All right. So let me get this link. And they are hiring people who want to use our entertainment. Yes, our entertainment. Well, formerly our entertainment as political platforms. So let's go down memory lane and go check out the showrunner of WandaVision. Her name is Jack Schaefer. She is currently writing the Black Widow film. She was the showrunner for Marvel. Black Widow film writer Jack Schaefer. I am not interested in adhering to comic canon that is discriminatory. For one, sure, there is some comics of their time that was very discriminatory, but for the vast majority of the history of comic books, they're just comic book stories. And there's a lot of inclusivity, and they were doing this shit long before you were alive, Miss Jack or Mr. Jack. I don't know. I don't even know what I say. Black Widow writer, she made these comments in an interview with Inverse. Now, Inverse is a shit stain of a fucking site where she expects to receive a negative reaction. She expects to receive it, by the way. She added, when people react with hate, it saddens me. I think it's a shame, but that's not where I want to put my energy. I'm not interested in the loud, sour grapes voices. Now, on the surface, I have no problem with that statement. But when you're going in and writing shit to troll your audience, what Chris Chibnall is doing, what Kurtzman is doing, what Kathleen Kennedy is doing, they're baking it into the scripts to they're baking shit in to get a reaction, to create discourse. Emotional blackmail marketing. On Black Widow's death, Schaefer told Inverse, "I cried like a baby. I was very moved by it." Wow, I wasn't. But it's this statement. Where is it? Schaefer also called for superhero films to stop glamorizing guns and weaponry. "I would like to see alternatives to violence in superhero movies. Maybe if I would qualify that by saying alternatives to glamorizing guns and weaponry. That's one of the reasons that I love Captain Marvel. It's all about inner power, and the destruction is not at the expense of human life." Finally, she concluded by indicating she wants to change the world through her film projects she joins. "I choose to be a part of projects that are about positive representation. We need to see women. We need to see people of color. We need to see a nuanced experiences, and we need to see different perspectives on screen. I choose to work with people who are interested in changing perspectives for the better and putting a world on screen that is something we can aspire to have conversations about." Does this sound familiar? And it's moving to their specific politics that they believe are right and you are wrong. And they have completely shut down any possibility of a conversation, of possibly, I don't know, compromise, of egalitarian. See, the thing is, she just said, "I need shit to be less white." And we need it to have, so when they say time's up, they mean time's up. Like, dudes, you've had your say. Now women are going to be in charge. We're not going to be working together, and we're going to vilify you. And every villain in the Marvel Universe is going to be toxic white male or Swedish biker on meths. It's already old. It's already a fucking trope. I am looking for a specific statement. Damn it. Which was where? Give me just a moment. Okay, here it is. Schaefer, who also contributed to Captain Marvel, that's probably why she loved it, will be show running the upcoming WandaVision series on D+. Added, "I wasn't a huge superhero movie fan before starting to work at Marvel, but now I'm doing it. There's just so much opportunity to make big positive statements." "I wasn't a huge superhero movie fan before starting to work at Marvel, but now that I'm doing it, there's so much opportunity to make big positive statements." She doesn't read comics. She hasn't read comics, but it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity. Put her name on a platform, put her name on a resume, put Marvel on a resume, and completely undo what has been done before by the greats. She wouldn't even know who the fuck Roy Thomas is or Len Wein. This is why this stuff doesn't pass the smell test with comic book fans, and they don't give a fuck about comic book fans. Now, the MCU Disney consumer vastly outnumbers the comic book fan. But here's the rub. They still need that source material. The source material that worked because it was good, it was true to the character, and it survived the test of time. What they have completely skipped is decades of source material to get to the all new, all different Marvel. There is a great run after the Winter Soldier in comic books where Bucky is Captain America for a good long time, and it's fucking great. Then they went to Sam Wilson as Captain America, which is an absolute failure. It was a failure. So what do they decide to adapt? Sam Wilson as Captain America. for one, it looks silly to have a guy with wings coming out of his arms. Let's just look at it practically right now. And then throwing a shield. And he doesn't have superpowers. He can't throw the shield as hard as Winter Soldier can. He is just a dude. He has no superpowers, and his mech suit isn't Stark tech. But that statement right there, that statement. Well, there's a new statement. WandaVision and Black Widow writer admits she's not a very good comic book reader. Well, that was obvious. When asked how she prepared for the show and if she read House of M, Schaefer responded, "They sent me a bunch of comics and I looked over them." Meaning she looked at the covers and never bothered to read them because she doesn't like them. They are against her values. She hates comic books. And again, it was obvious. However, she did go on to say, "I'm not a very good comic reader. I have a hard time digesting the storylines and I never know which cell to look at. And I don't know." You're a fucking artist, or you think you are, you fucking hack. I don't know which cell to look at, and you're directing a fucking movie and you don't know how to read a comic book? This is a PBS fucking Marin mom directing a Marvel movie. Now, these things practically get directed for them. Holy shit. However, she went on to say, I'm not a very good comic book reader. I have a hard time digesting the storylines, and I never know what cell to look at. I don't know. I'm a disappointment, perhaps, to the fandom in that way. But that imagery is always, of course, very startling and moving and inspiring. How do you know? You don't even know. She doesn't know how to read a comic book. And it was Kevin Feige's idea to marry Wanda and Vision to the sitcom world. It wasn't even her idea, which obviously it's not Kevin Feige's idea. It comes from a comic book, but kind of. It wasn't even her idea. She was hired because she has the right politics and she has a vajayjay. She has a hoo-ha. And she could put two fucking words together. Who knows? But they're like female empowerment. They're like, "Okay, sweetie, come on in, sugar pants. We're going to we've got everything set up for you. So don't you worry your little head, baby nookins. We've got everything figured out for you. You just put your hands on the camera and you say, roll them or action. And it doesn't even have to be really action. And we'll take care of everything, sweetheart. We'll direct the action for you. We'll do the storyboards because I know you have a hard time reading the storyboards, sugar buns, but it's okay. It's okay. We got it for you, sweetie pants. Don't you worry your pretty little head." Oh, too big to succeed. Disney is too big to succeed. Do you think that if fucking Disney could have made an MCU? So I had those pieces to begin with. And then it was also their desire to explore her grief and that whatever happened in this series, this sitcom situation was sort of a manifestation of her grief and her desire to live in this fantasy world. Well, here's the problem. We discussed this on the Inquisition. Wanda has always been a grieving character. She's grieving her brother. Now she's grieving Vision. Why is she grieving Vision? This takes place 3 weeks after the Endgame. They were just getting to know each other. The only time the audience has seen them in a relationship was in Avengers Infinity War for about 3 minutes. There is no context to their relationship. Now, what they like to do is a lot of comic fans will project the relationship that they've read in the comic books. The Wanda and Vision have a very real and long and well-earned fucking relationship in the comic books. But in the movies, they just fucking met each other. And as we said on Friday Night Tights, this is the story of a woman marrying her vibrator that broke. And she's sad about it. As far as a character study of grief, listen, Elizabeth Olsen was very good as Scarlet Witch. Paul Bettany is great as Vision, and I liked a lot of their scenes together. I think their talent can rise above whatever hack is writing this show. And they were the best thing about it. Their chemistry was on point, and they were great in their respective roles. Elizabeth Olsen is a very talented actress. I would not call her an adult pretender. Paul Bettany is a great actor. I would not call him an adult pretender. Catherine Hahn was good as Agatha Harkness. And everybody else was interchangeable. Monica Rambeau, which was fine in the first episode, turned in to be the worst of the straight up Captain Marvel storytelling. And Toxic White Male did inexplicable weird shit at the end. And then the morals fell apart for this story. You had a woman imprison an entire town and torture them, which is going to affect them for the rest of her life. And Monica Rambeau lets her go. And she says, you have no idea. They have no idea what you've given up. Really? She has no idea what she's done to them. That's where it falls apart in the end. And for some reason, that got by a bunch of editors, Kevin Feige, and this, like, nobody thought about, ooh, she comes off kind of bad here. It's very similar to nobody thought about Wonder Woman raping a guy. It got past hundreds of people, including Jeff Johns and Walter Hamada. Everybody, Patty Jenkins, to the point where she was surprised when people were calling it out. And Patty Jenkins was desperate to grasp to any excuse. And the excuse she grappled to was none of it really happened anyway at the end, except it did. Except Wonder Woman did rape a guy. So that should tell you something, that no creative noticed that it got by so many people. But yeah, that's the writer for, now you can see why I'm not excited for Black Widow. But you know what? You get Sam Raimi involved with Doctor Strange, and then you're going, okay, I'm excited about that. I am. But what needs to happen, and a lot of you ask, rightly so, what do we need to do to stop this? Don't go to the fucking movie, especially on the first weekend. If you need to see it in the third or fourth weekend. Don't see it in the opening weekend. I want you to keep in mind what Disney does. Like, I didn't watch the rest of this series. I have canceled my Disney Plus. I've canceled it. Now, I still have to cover pop culture, so I do give them a click, but I'm not paying them any money. And I had to hold my nose, even though Disney Marvel has nothing to do with Disney Star Wars. I know that, but it's still Disney. You know what? Support Zack Snyder's Justice League. If you want to support fan movements, give it as many clicks as you can. Now, listen, I don't think it matters how successful this thing is. Warner Brothers is going to crush it. Did you hear it accidentally leaked last week? An hour of it leaked during Tom and Jerry? That was no fucking accident. None at all. They hate that Zack Snyder is stealing Jar Jar Abrams' thunder. But Christ almighty, man. I got to read that again. Like, I don't know how to read a comic book? Okay, I got to read this before I got to read this again. All right, just in case you just joined. We're talking about Jack Schaefer, the showrunner for WandaVision. And if you're wondering why WandaVision was ultimately a disappointment, well, it's because the showrunner not only doesn't read comics, she doesn't know how. After she said she looked some comics over. And then she talks about her history in the comics. I'm not a very good comic book reader. I have a hard time digesting the storylines, and I never know which cell to look at. And I don't know. I'm a disappointment, perhaps, to the fandom in that way. But the imagery is always, of course, very startling and moving and inspiring. What a bunch of horse shit. And it was Kevin Feige's idea to marry Wanda and Vision to the sitcom world. So then she says, what I brought was a structure for that. You know, having seen it in the comics. Do you mean the comics you don't know how to read? I thought that it would probably be fairly predictable if we told a linear story. You know, Wanda is upset and she freaks out and she creates this false world and then it's a sitcom. That didn't seem interesting to me. It showed. The problem is you approached it like a mystery box. What's mystery box? Well, for example, it's telling the same story in two separate episodes from two different perspectives. It's a real cheap way to tell a story. Jar Jar Abrams perfected it. Didn't she just say she wasn't a very good comic book reader and she doesn't know which cell to look at? But then just a few sentences later, she's saying she already saw a linear story about Wanda in the comics. Which is it? Do you not know how to read comics, or did you already see a linear story in the comics? You didn't want to adapt. No, she's a liar. Earlier in the interview, when asked to discuss setting up Wanda's notion of grief, Schaefer also details what Wanda's story is in the comics. She says her history in the comics is one of loss. Okay. This is something that in the comics and in the MCU has often defined her and defined her characterization. Well, that's because you read that on the Wikipedia. Everybody can read that because everybody thinks WandaVision's just about losing her kids. And that's been a focal point. Absolutely. She's been more a serious character and a character who at times seems locked into her own sadness and mourning. And so that is obviously where we wanted to start and what we wanted to build around. Well, that's what she was nothing in the movies. Wanda Maximoff was nothing in the movies. And now 9 episodes later, we have a Scarlet Witch in costume. And she's like omnipotent at this point. So, for example, she dragged Monica Rambeau into the world to help deliver her kids because somewhere in the back of her mind, she knew she had an ally. Well, if she's that omnipotent, how come she didn't get Tyler Toxic Man and suss out what he was doing? If she could suss out what Monica Rambeau's doing, certainly she must have been able to suss out what Tyler Toxic Male was doing. What happened to the 8-year-old girl who was locked in her room? What happened to Wu, one of our plucky members of diverse, the scrappy, diverse, annoying team on in the other part of the show? He said he was looking. He had somebody in witness protection in that town. Who was it? Why did you leave so much footage on the cutting room floor, Disney Plus? Why were the episodes only 22 to 37 minutes episode long? Why couldn't the Vision help Wanda fight against the very OP Agatha Harkness? And why do we have a similar theme than Wonder Woman 1984? The woman finally gets fully empowered when she sheds the male and the children. That is fucking intersectional feminism. You see, Hollywood is dumb. So they try to adhere to the Bechdel test, and they're very specific to it. You know, people like to see people working together. Fundamentally, fandom likes to share what they love. They're not toxic. They're not bad. It was the corporations that introduced the divisive elements and the fan hate. The media, the quote-unquote media, which, I mean, you're now considered a journalist if you're paid $20 for an article that ends up repeating the headline 3 times, and then you write a listicle. You're not a journalist, by the way. Please take that out of your bio. But, yeah, whatever. They hate the fans, too. They're resentful. The fan theories weren't why this was disappointing. It was Disney putting the hype train on it. Elizabeth Olsen saying there would be a Luke Skywalker cameo, and she wasn't wrong. There wasn't, but it was supposed to be Evan Peters. But the story failed at the end because they left too many things unresolved. There were characters who didn't belong in the show at all. Monica Rambeau, Kat Denning. The whole sword storyline ceased to make sense. Where the fuck were the other Avengers? Oh, and when you resurrect Vision, he just takes off. He just leaves with the "I'm the Vision," and he just takes off. And in the episode when the very powerful Wanda is taking on the very powerful Agatha Harkness, the unibrow, Vision, who is a pretty damn powerful superhero, is cradling the children who are pretty damn powerful superheroes. That, my friends, is the MCU. We're going to go over it in detail on Friday Night Tights. I'm going to break out the Bechdel test. We're going to go over it all. I've got some paperwork that's been passed around Hollywood that really explains what's going on. Spark1524 for $50. I'll read it on the air. He says he'd like to send me my first novel as a thank you for helping me stay sane while being stuck isolated in Washington State. Main character is a Navy sailor who named his car Sarah Jane. May I? If so, where? The P.O. box is in the About section of this page, or one of my mods can put it up. Please, yeah, send it. And I mean, I'm not going to get to it right away, but I will read it. I have many, many books, and I love that you guys send me stuff. And if it takes me the rest of my life, I will get through all of it. Thank you, Sparks, and thank you for being here for me. Thank you all for being here for me, by the way. You guys are, I would have cracked under all this too, you know. It's not been an easy year for a lot of people. And, you know, I've watched my wife lose her business, then her dad. I was fucking angry. I'm sure it reflected in my channel. I got in the YouTube doghouse with a lot of other channels towards the end of the year. Kind of thought that was it. It was all over. And thankfully you guys came back and you've been fully supportive. And, you know, Friday Night Tights has become a thing. And the full plan is to have this become a thing. I'm going to start having guests on the Nerdrotic Nooner soon. But at least once a week, it'll be me. But damn, thanks, guys. And I'm sorry. I don't want this to happen. This was so fucking unnecessary. Okay? Sure, bring in more women directors. I mean, do we need it? I don't know. Are enough women interested? I mean, nobody was keeping them out as directors. And as far as Hollywood's hierarchy, well, you got yourselves to blame. That's the great thing about Hollywood. I'm being sarcastic. Is they were the racists and the sexists. And now they're like, we're all about values now. Fuck off. You guys are the biggest gatekeepers, the biggest racists. You have perpetuated so many racial stereotypes. You still fucking do. Ryan Wilder, the black Batwoman, is homeless, lives in a van down by a river, was connected to gangs and drugs, because that's what the white folk, the alphabet white folk at the CW, thought the black experience was, the average black experience. You want to talk about projecting shit? Why couldn't she be a manager of a Subway? Why couldn't she be a lawyer, a doctor, or just, I don't know, why couldn't she be an auto mechanic? Owning a business, whatever business, a widget business. No, a van down by the river who talks to a plant was completely innocent of our crimes, yet she knows serial killers by first name and knows where all the drugs are. No innocent people know where the drugs are. No innocent people know the first name of a serial killer who is a hitman. Again, it's the Hollywood morals. Like, they don't know what's right and wrong anymore. And it's becoming clear. And superhero stories are all about right and wrong. And the great thing about superhero stories is you can tell superhero stories with multiple genres, but instead we're restricted. There's a lot of stories we can't tell because of China. There's a lot of stories we can't tell because of intersectional feminism, and it will destroy Hollywood. People still want traditional heroes, which is not specifically male or female. It's not specifically any members of the two genders. Oh, whoops. Ay, 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 ay. Hi, everybody. We've got Svi Levetkin, the rabbi from another planet, for $10 says, "Hey, Gary, can you shout out my awesome Indiegogo?" Yes. The rabbi from another planet. If you go to Indiegogo, check out the rabbi from another planet. He's been doing Indiegogo for quite some time. He is a member of the Doctor Who community out there. And I hate to use that word. But yeah, check it out. Thanks for the $10 donation. Phoenix Tangent for $5. Do you think Wall Street is starting to get tired of Hollywood shenanigans? An investor openly asking this question of Bob Chapek seems to indicate that the investors are starting to get tired of Disney not generating sufficient return investment. Yes, they are, Phoenix Tangent. And you want to know why? They watch YouTube. People are watching more YouTube. I am getting emails. I get emails all the time. Right now, like, not to bring this back to me, but my biggest problem is I haven't really been cranking out enough content. You know, this one video a week thing's got to go. So I'm going to have to I'm just going to have to be a little messier. That's just the way it's going to have to be. But they're watching. No, they know. Do you think anybody would ask anybody about firing Kathleen Kennedy if people weren't calling for a head, if the Phantom Menace wasn't here? Do you think this Gina Carano thing wouldn't have blown up by starting in the Phantom Menace with Drunk 3PO and others? But this whole thing started with Drunk 3PO, right? And then, there's people out there blaming us for her getting fired. No, Gina got fired because Disney is a progressive left organization. I notice what Bob Chapek's answer was. I don't see ourselves as that. We're a moral company because that person we just fired was hateful against groups of people. Again, he backed up the lie that they leaked to the press. Bob Chapek is a scumbag, just like most CEOs of giant billion-dollar corporations. You don't get that high up. You don't want to accumulate that much wealth without being perfectly willing to step on a lot of people on the way up to the top. You know, everything has its limits. You know, at times I have to play it safe because of YouTube's rules. I was just talking to Az about this. No, Jeremy. I won't say it was specifically, but I was like, at times I have to play it safe when it comes to certain pronunciations or anything, but I don't when it comes to thoughts and ideas. And it probably hurts my channel. Probably does. But, and that's probably why, you know, never going to achieve 1 million subs, and that's fine. That's fine. There's other reasons too, but, yeah, I just, you know, maybe I'm too dumb. There's just certain things most of us aren't willing to do. CEOs are, plus I couldn't kiss that much ass. I just could not. You have to kiss so much ass. And what a CEO at a giant corporation is a giant fucking figurehead. He just takes calls, coordinate, everybody else does all the work. And the vast majority that do the vast majority of work make what? $25 an hour and under. The average Disney employee makes $50,000 a year. Okay. Not terrible depending on where you live. If that Disney employee lived in, I don't know, Southern California, that's barely a quote unquote living wage. Now, Disney employee can go out and find a better job. You know, Disney's not a career. They've cut off their school. The one good thing they did was that college program they had. They cut that off. He said they're going to bring it back later in the year. But no, there's a church of worship at this corporation that's always been there, and I've never understood it. I've always thought it was, I mean, kind of weird. I did. I the only thing I've liked consistently over time from Disney was Disneyland. I liked Disneyland. I am not into their animated cartoons. I'm not into their musicals. I have never seen The Lion King. I've seen Aladdin. I've seen Aladdin. But all those Eisner fucking animated 90s movies, didn't see them. Didn't care. I was in my 20s. I was watching Pulp Fiction. I was watching Broken Arrow. I was watching Con Air. I wasn't a girl. That's girl stuff. It's okay. It could exist. And I understand. I appreciate the art for what it is and everything, but it's not anything I want to watch. And the only reason I watched Aladdin was for Robin Williams. I like Robin Williams. I didn't see Beauty and the Beast. Never seen it. Hail, I'm a graphics student and I have an SJW teacher. Well, that's not a surprise. Who constantly preaches her politics to my class. And you're a graphic designer. I'm going to do my project on woke media and how it poisons societies and media. Since telling my idea, I have been shunned by class and my teacher. Well, Bob, I would have told you not to say anything and just present the project. But now that you have, take advantage of it. If they don't talk to you going, hey, like, why aren't you talking to me? Like, be direct with these people. Be direct. Call them out. Because you know why they're shunning you? Because they don't want to get in a debate because they know they're wrong. Oh, and get the fuck out of that school. Go to a school. You know, I don't know what you can afford, but there's a lot of city colleges that are just as good that won't preach that shit. And there's other courses. I mean, you want to get educated. I understand, but my kid is not going to any fucking public school anymore after this, and not going to a university that preaches. You know, a lot of these parents just automatically are putting their kids, he's Harvard education, blah, blah, blah. Parents, fucking stop. Stop. You're just making more morons. We don't need any more morons in this fucking world. Do some homework. Find a school that actually just wants to teach kids. There's a 1989 episode of Doctor Who where a black female literally takes over the Brigadier for UNIT. And these hacks still think the past is problematic. They do. They don't know shit. Kaczynski, a woman, was instrumental in getting this show made. Okay? I mean, essentially, she was the person. I mean, there was a lot of other people involved, but Verite Lambert was... here. They did a movie about it. Beautiful, great woman. She passed in 2007. And there would be no Doctor Who without her. Oh, and the little ditty, the song, the theme that everybody loves so much, well, that was co-produced, really, by Delia Derbyshire, which is just the fucking coolest name ever. And she had British teeth, and I don't care, but she was also a fucking, a musical genius. Article. There we go. There she is. I mean, it's all cut off or anything, but up there's Verite. There's Verite. Yeah. You know, a lot of people talking about Doctor Who now. I was going to put some audio in on the Radio Times did a podcast on the anniversary of the Timeless Children, and the two people talking about it were not familiar with the classic series at all, and they said so. They said they're only new series fans, and they were very excited about the changes. Well, if people don't know, Doctor Who had a Last Jedi, but it was worse. So imagine taking Luke Skywalker, imagine taking Spider-Man, imagine taking Batman, and turning Batman into a black girl, like going back in time. Bruce Wayne doesn't exist anymore, or he's just part of it. And you make him into a black girl. You cannot turn your character that has been established as a male for decades and just put boobs on him and say, it's a girl now. Because, you know, and say, oh, it's part of the canon. They're Time Lords. They can do that. You know what? Dr. Fate can turn fucking Batman into a woman. Doctor Strange can turn Peter Parker into a woman. Is it going to make it okay? That's part of the canon. He can do it. No, it doesn't make it okay. Still. Fucking still. Bird of Prey 5. Hashtag cancel everyone and everything except Exozone. Exozone will return, Bird of Prey. Exozone will return. I have some thoughts on that because it looks like YouTube is being easier on that stuff. But I'm going to need some things. Doomcock and I need to talk about that. Because I think what will help with Exozone is consistency, and also, I mean, you know, we need to be able to find the live streams. Okay, that's the feedback I've been getting the most is people can't find the live streams when they're done, and that needs to be fixed. That needs to be fixed. Man, it's been a heck of a show. You guys have been, you guys are always great. You know how much you guys rock. I fucking love you guys. Cheers. Here's to you. Give yourself some applause. F's in the chat for yourselves. You guys are fucking awesome. Thanks for being here. Bobby Lane, thank you for the super chat there. Let's get to Let's see if that works. Let's get to. There we go. It does work. Yes, Nooner. We love Nooner. Oh, I read this one, but thank you, Zathras. You were on your way out to shopping. Detritus. We read that one too. And welcome, Ledger Long last name to the membership. Oh shit! I forgot to put my membership link in the description. Welcome to the Geloja membership, and you guys get a weekly members stream Sunday, 10:30 a.m. I posted one on Nerdrotic Live. It got a great response, so I will do it again in the future. Thanks, everyone. Memberships are now open on Nerdrotic Daily. That's to help out Perry Chan. Perry Chan, and he is a member of the Nerdrotic team. Right now, it's a team of me and Perry Chan. We are going to bring in, looks like Eric K is going to be doing some stuff for us in the very near future. And someone else who I cannot name right now. Actually, a couple someone else's that I cannot name right now. But yeah, this is going to make things a lot better, I believe. I was very hesitant to take help for a while, and it's a bummer. Lady Gravemaster couldn't work out, but like, hey, family comes first every single time. Never going to blame her for that. Never, never, never. And we love Lady Gravemaster. Keaton Smith for £5. Hail, Gary. I read that one too. I got to get some of the new ones. Michael Mon, welcome to the proto molecule level. I appreciate it. All right. And Stephen T, welcome to the Geloja level. Thank you. There's Grant. There's Will Gentry for $5. My friend, I sent you a very important DM on Twitter. Can you please check it out when you get a minute? Thanks in advance. Yeah, of course. Like, are you okay? Oh God, yeah. Hey, Will. I'll get back to you after the show. Okay. Thanks for bringing my attention to this. Shit. Okay, dude. Yeah, I got you. Thanks for letting me know. Love you, Will. Been around for a long time, and you hang in there, buddy. Okay, you got this. All right. If I can make it through shit, anybody can. All right. Galactic Dude for $5. I miss Michael Mann action scenes. I do too. He had some of the best gunfighting scenes back in the 80s and early 90s. Fucking Heat. Let me tell you how good Heat is as a movie. I will tell you. Sorry to point at you. It's very fucking, but I do it. I was on a cruise in the Caribbean with my first wife at the time. We were outside of the island of Saint Martin or Saint Martin. It's the Dutch and English island. It's extremely poor on one side and rich on the other. And I eventually did see the island, but we were getting ready to go out. And while the ex-missus was taking a shower, I was watching a movie on the cruise ship, and it was Heat. And I got so into that fucking movie, I forgot I was on a cruise. Like, who watches a movie on a cruise to the Caribbean? I do. I sat there and watched the movie beginning to end. I was like, and I'd seen it before. Heat is a masterpiece. Absolute fucking masterpiece. And yeah, that's how good that movie is. Random Human Being, thank you for upgrading to the Geloja level. I appreciate it. The Grizzly for $5. We all miss the days of Transformers. I read that one too. Getting down to the unread ones. Oh, there's My Ex-Wife, which is not my ex-wife that I was just referring to. It's the name My Ex-Wife. I've gone back and watched every Exozone I could find. Had to use the filter. Had to use the filter to set it up to upload date to find them. Yeah, every Exozone, you can find everyone I've done on, go to nerdrotic.com. Wait, is everyone even? No, go to Nerdrotic Live. Nerdrotic Live will have most of them. But as far as Doomcock uploading to the Harvey Zone, I don't know what he's uploaded. I will task the person I'm going to hire hopefully in a month or so to round them all up and put them on my website. All right. So that will eventually be there. And then you'll be able to listen to them on Spotify and iTunes and all that stuff. Zap Brannigan for £5. If you hired somebody who was willing to step back for family, you know you hired somebody of class. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is, yeah, I mean, like, you know, and yeah, it's just, dude, she had a lot of stuff going on. She did. She tried. She felt terrible, but she shouldn't. They'll bury me like a king. I'll just die. Okay. They'll bury me like a king. I'll die just another man. And am I missing part of that quote? Hang on. Let's see. And what is that quote from? What is that quote from? I don't know. Let's find out. Oh, Tupac. It's Tupac. Okay. You know me. I'm Mr. fucking hip hop, right? I am Mr. Hip hop. Me and Tupac were, no, I have no fucking idea about hip hop. Hibbity hop. Drunk 3PO, thank you for showing some love. Oh, check this out. This is awesome. Let's see if I can show it to you without showing off my number. It says scam likely. I don't care if you see the number. It's scam likely. Yeah, fuck off calling me during the show. That's new. These fancy phones. Lucas has zero artistic credibility after selling, says Hunter Vex for $2. I do not disagree with you. I am not happy with George Lucas. A lot of people are praising him. Well, Alan Dean Foster hasn't been paid since the sale. George Lucas knows Alan Dean Foster. Alan Dean Foster wrote the Star Wars novelization for George Lucas. The least George Lucas can fucking do is step in and make sure the man gets paid. But something I have always heard about George and something I have witnessed with my own two eyes when I met George on the ranch. Haven't talked about that much, but I did. I met George on the ranch while he was making Revenge of the Sith. He's a cold fish. He is. He's ineffectual. He doesn't smile a lot. He's not happy. No. And I think that's what drove him as an artist. I think it might be depression. I'm not really sure. But, and he knew full well that when he sold stuff to Disney, Disney wasn't going to pay the residuals. He knew full well. That is my opinion, of course. But again, Alan Dean Foster, like, fucking pay the man. The reason they don't pay him is because they'll have to pay everybody else. And that's why Disney has made some of the decisions they've made. I did a video on this a long time ago. Yes, some of these writers own some rights. They can sue. I don't know if they'll win, but they can sue. To help mom with as little I can. Oh, James, $5. Thanks, James Andrews. She appreciates it. Maybe one day I'll have mom make a video. She wouldn't know what to look. She barely knows how to use a cell phone. Thank you for the $5. Vanessa Lore for $4.99. Gary, thanks for shouting out the Type 40 podcast. Oh, I love Dan. and Ian are such great guys, and they have mad respect for you and appreciate you all. You do. Well, thank you, Vanessa. No, I fucking love Dan, Ian, great guys. And I need to talk to him soon. We'll get him on. Drunk 3PO, thank you for showing love. Love you, man. By the way, Shogun, not Shotgun Gaming, thank you for the 14 Danish krona. Sarah B for $5. Hail, Gary. Sorry I had to pause my membership. Don't be sorry ever. Got diagnosed with cancer on Monday, so I have to redistribute my pennies for a while. No. Sarah, don't worry about it. Email me. Like, how bad is it? Tell me what's up. Gary@nerdrotic.com, Sarah. And we wish you all the best. Everybody here wishes you all the best. You are surrounded by good people here and a lot of support. So if you need some help, do not be afraid to ask. Blind Panic for £5. Hail, Gary. Have you heard the Games Workshop animation news today? And what's your thoughts? No, I haven't heard. What is it? I have no idea. Did they get rid of some more woke shit? Because if they did, yes, it's a good fucking idea. You're going to love Stargate. Realistic characters and ethical dilemmas. Was starting to think I was the only fan when nobody has mentioned it on Friday Night Tights. Well, not a lot of people have watched. No, dude, you are not the only Stargate fan. Stargate fans, show yourselves in the chat. And thank you for showing all the love to Sarah, you guys. You guys are fucking awesome. Thank you. See all that love, Sarah? That's to you. Dag for 50 Norwegian krona. Just smoked a fatty, so blazed. I don't think Disney will do anything, but I believe the shareholders need to put their foot down and get her fired. I totally agree. Shareholders, if you're out there, I know a couple of you watch me. Put their feet to the fire. You can change this. You can, if there's enough of you. Gary's Quixotic Quisling. Hi, Gary. I just sent the super chat to see if you'd pronounce my name correctly. Keep up the good work. Love your live streams. Helps through work. You are quite welcome, and I hope I did well. Gary's Quixotic Quisling. Vikings Wench. Thank you for the $5, Vikings Wench. You're no wench here, though. Disney has become the weeping angels from Doctor Who. They take something and steal all the potential from it. Yes, Mark Taylor. Well said. Well said. The Legion of Reason for £5 or 5 Canadian pesos. This is the West version of Mao's Cultural Revolution. Yep. And you know what? We can't even say shit like that now. We're considered extremists if we do. You are considered an extremist if you just simply ask, where did the coof come from? I think it's a legit question. There's a Joe Rogan clip that came out yesterday, and they talked to some guy I've never heard who works with the WHO, who just states a little bit of common sense. And he was considered all of last year a conspiracy theorist, and now they're willing to listen to him. But no, we're in a strange place that we need to keep fighting this shit and keep calling it out. Edward Morris for $2.99. Just out of curiosity, who was your first doctor? Fourth doctor. The fourth doctor. My first doctor was the fourth doctor on PBS. And then it was out of order because they would show the fourth doctor, and then the third doctor was the second doctor I experienced, and then the fifth doctor was the third doctor I experienced, if that makes any sense. But no, Tom Baker was my first. And I only recognized him, right? I was watching TV one day. I remember this, and I'm like, oh, that's the guy from the comic book, right? So then Marvel did a comic book, Marvel Premiere. So I'm like, oh, that guy was in a Marvel comic book, so I need to watch this now. Commodore. So my very first experience with Doctor Who was with a Marvel Premiere comic when I was 10, maybe 10. Yeah, the first thing I got into was Superman. All right. The black and white Superman with George Reeves. That was the first show. And then Batman, 1966 Batman. Those were on heavy rotation when I was a kid staying at my grandma's house because both my parents were working. And then it was Star Trek. Then it was Star Trek, Twilight Zone, Planet of the Apes, stuff like that. I long for the days when men were men. I long for the days when men were real men. Women were real women. And small furry creatures from Alpha Centauri were real small furry creatures from Alpha Centauri. I do too, Commodore Stargazer. Hail Douglas Adams. Cecil knows everything about every serial killer. Yes, but Cecil's fucking Cecil Donut, Sean, for $2. Cecil's not Batwoman. Cecil's an anti-villain. And Cecil is love. Cecil is love. All right. There is an event going on through Geeks and Gamers. We were supposed to announce it on Friday Night Tights. We are going to announce it again on Friday. I don't know. Drunk, are you out there? Is there any news on the video? We're waiting on a video from Zack Snyder, a promotional video. Zack Snyder is going to be on Uche's channel, Uche Aneri. I always pronounce his last name wrong. The Observant Lineman, Uche. You know Uche, the guy who's wrong about most everything, except for some stuff from the Snyder Cut. No, we love. He's a good youngster. He calls them like he thinks he sees them. And while I disagree with him quite a bit, I think he comes from a very good place. And I think he's got a good heart. And he is going to be hosting Zack Snyder on his channel. And I am so fucking happy for Uche and Lethal Lightning and Ryan Kinnell, my internet son, Ryan Kinnell. They all get to interview. They are true blue DCEU Snyder Cut fans. They're from the beginning, no bandwagoneers, and they get to fucking interview Zack Snyder, and they earned it. They're good guys, and this is going to be for charity. So they're going to be auctioning items. If I can afford it, I am going to buy a couple of these items myself. So you will be competing against me. And they will be interviewing them. Jeremy will be there. Uche, it's on Uche's channel. And I guess it's a Geeks and Gamers thing. And this is going to be for suicide prevention. They've already raised over $10,000. The link is active. If one of my mods could post the link in the chat, you could donate now. I'm going to kind of shout this out a little more when it gets closer to the event. It's March 17th, 2021, right before the Snyder Cut airs. So, by the way, I will be doing a full in-depth review of the Snyder Cut. Hopefully the day after it comes out. It depends on how fast I do it. Now, I said that about WandaVision, and I still haven't done my review. Well, it's halfway done, but it'll be out later or tomorrow. So, keep an eye out for that. Please go to that link. And if you can afford it, give $1.50. Or if you can't afford it, could you at least share it? Share it on your social media and get it out there. It's for a damn good cause. Zack Snyder taking tragedy, turning it into something good. Losing your daughter, losing your kid, is even saying something like that. I mean, there's nothing that freaks me out to my core more than anything is like something happening to my kid. One of my kids, So my heart goes out to Zack. I am a Zack Snyder fan. I love 300. I think Watchmen is in my top 10 all-time films. I believe Watchmen is a Blade Runner-esque masterpiece. Yes, you heard me say it. It's a Blade Runner-esque masterpiece. I think some of the performances in that movie are incredible. Sorry, I got sidetracked there. Some of the performances were absolutely incredible. And I mean, up and down the board. I for one, as far as Zack Snyder films are concerned, that was the best acting in a Zack Snyder film. It was ahead of its time. Unfortunately, they hadn't deconstructed the superhero before they went to the deconstruction of the superhero. No, I don't mind the change to the ending. I understand it's an adaptation of a comic book. And what a lot of people don't get is Zack Snyder glorified the violence, and that's what comic books did. That's what they do. He was reflecting that. I understood everything he was doing. The 4-hour cut is absolutely fucking genius. I will gush about this movie all day long, and maybe I'll do a review on it. Maybe I'll do a proper review on why I fucking love Watchmen. So I've watched it 100 times. I've watched it with comic book creators. As a matter of fact, I've watched it with Derek Robertson. Derek Robertson said the same fucking thing. It's a fucking act of it's a work of genius. It's a work of genius. So I love the music. I love everything about it. And, and again, as far as performances go, I'm going to trigger some more people. Jack Earl Haley's performance as Rorschach was equal to Heath Ledger's as the Joker. Yes, I said it. Yes, I said it. And I'd say it again. His performance as Rorschach was fucking phenomenal. Perfect. Joaquin Phoenix level acting. Yes, I said it. Hail, Gary, keep up the good fight, says Marco C. for $3. Thank you. I appreciate that. I will keep up the good fight. I mean, fucking, I've just gotten started, man. Come on. I've been to prison, yo. I ain't afraid of a bunch of little fucking mice. Dude, where's my vessel? Sketchpad for $2.99. Your vessel called vessel? You mean the nuclear vessel? Dude, where is my vessel? He pilots a vessel called Vessel. He occupies a part of space called Space. He lives on a planet called Planet. Roger Haynes, thank you for the $1.99. I greatly appreciate it. Been watching you for years, and it's always good stuff. Having a nice birthday, chilling and watching the stream. Hail chat, hail Gary. Fuck Lucasfilm. Happy birthday, Woo Gambino. Happy birthday. Roger Haynes, thank you for the $1.99. Great takes on Disney on the Disney meeting. Thanks. Why, thank you, M Tax Shark, for $3. I try to do my best. But I do not believe for 1 second those were non-answers. Those were not. No, there's a meaning to everything, folks. I mean, technically, isn't your kid getting more education from the video game than the brainwashing in the current school program? You're right. See, that's the conundrum. What am I supposed to do as a parent? Sai, Ray, Joku, thank you for the $5. You're on point. What am I supposed to do? I mean, like part of being a parent is being a giant fucking hypocrite. Okay. Hopefully he's not watching, but like I partied like it was 1999. I've done almost every drug on the planet. I didn't go to the school. I got kicked out of 3 fucking high schools. And I'm sitting there going, you got to go do school and do your homework. I never did my fucking homework. Fucking kidding me? And quite frankly, he gets more of an education. You know what he does on his own? He watches like history specials. That's fucking awesome. So no, you're right. He's getting more of an education through video games. So maybe I am just a shitty dad. I don't know. Maybe it's being a Detroit sports fan, but that endorsement of KKK felt like the dreaded vote of confidence from the owner. It could be taken like that. But I'm going to ask you all a question out there. Thank you, JTW6577, for the $5. If Kathleen Kennedy leaves, do you think Disney Star Wars will actually change? Because I don't. And I know it depends on the person. it's not going to be a white male that's going to be in charge of Lucasfilm. They are going to hire, due to identity politics, it'll probably be Michelle Rejoin, but it will not be Jon Favreau. Gary, I agree about WandaVision. I recall Superman once let himself be jailed while the false charges against him were cleared. Cap would have done the same. Marvel has lost moral compass. The Real Vector for $10. That Marvel compass is gone because they don't know what it is. Peppermint oil capsule. I don't want to blast your address anywhere, but this is my, here, I'm just making sure this is all cool. Yes, the letter peppermint oil capsule for $2. Hope the envelope found your inbox. Yes, it did. That's my P.O. box. Thank you, peppermint oil capsule. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And it will be read. Oberon for $5. Ciao, bro. Quick question. I am finally launching my Oberon station. How much freedom do I have verbally since it's a new channel? 20 minutes versus 60-minute episodes. You act early on, you want to be careful in the first 5 minutes. That's it. In the first 5 minutes. But like, you can say fuck and bullshit. You just don't want to say them a lot. Once in a while, you could say racism or Hitler or Nazi. You just don't want to say them a lot. You can say rape. But I wouldn't suggest it early on in the video and often, because there are varying degrees of advertising. You want to be in the top tier of advertising so your video gets suggested the most. All right? Even before you're getting paid. What you're thinking about is getting suggested. That is your currency right now as a new content creator. Yes, we all want to get paid. I don't like the mid-rolls in short videos. I'm not a fan of them. YouTube sticks them in randomly. I don't always pay attention. I try to remove them as much as possible. I apologize in advance. And it does affect the suggestibility of that video if I take them out. It does. It flat out does. I know most people don't. I do mid-rolls in my live streams, but I space them out for an hour, and hopefully you can just skip past, but I need to make money. I do. But if you want to have that ad blocker, you go right the fuck ahead. You go right ahead. That's okay. Do what you like. It's okay. The double standard is very real right now. Filmmakers live in a bubble, and they are out of touch with what the fans are and general public want to see. They are making us watch and agree with them. Yes, they are. Thank you, Waldo865 for $20. They believe they are right. They are morally right. And they think that the conservatives are racist. They are subscribing to the critical race theory. It has gone beyond the Bechdel test. It has gone beyond intersectional feminism. Now Hollywood is practicing critical race theory, which is the most racist shit out there. I am not sitting here telling you that there isn't any racism and there isn't any bias and that life isn't unfair and that a black man has a completely different experience than I do. I understand. The one thing I understand is that exists. Again, I have been to prison. I have seen the number of black men that are in prison as it is compared to white men, and it is ridiculous. It is unbalanced, and there has to be an answer for it. I am not the person to answer that question, but we need to have a real conversation, real dialogue, and none of that can happen if people won't talk. And they won't have a real conversation, a real honest one that's fucking uncomfortable for both sides. But right now, the conversation is, you shut up and listen. No, none of that never works. That never fucking works. You need to sit down at a table as equals and work shit out. And is it a system thing? Absolutely. Is the state churning in and out prisoners to get free labor? And has it become a money-making thing? You know why the state is so against private prisons? And this is what people are so fucking ignorant about. God damn it. It's competition for the state. The state doesn't want competition. The state makes a lot of fucking money off prison. A lot of fucking money. I know. I was there. So there's a lot of real fucking problems. You know who isn't going to solve any of these problems? Fucking Hollywood. Think a bunch of dumbasses who who won't even bother reading a comic should be commenting on how to make the world better? I mean, at least the showrunner for WandaVision doesn't say she's a geek, because that's a fake geek. That's a fake fucking geek. But she's just a poser. She's a poser and a platformer. She just saw an opportunity to spread her agenda because she doesn't have any actual talent. If you have actual talent, what you want to do is tell the best story possible wherever you go. Coming out and saying it's an opportunity to send a message is the party NPC line in Hollywood, because they're going through a ton of white guilt. These people get paid insane amounts of money to pretend and write pretend. And they have put in, and the reason they say send a message is they're trying to put some more importance on themselves. Because fundamentally, they go to bed every night going, I make pretend. And I make so much more money doing it. I make more money than a brain surgeon sometimes. I make more money than a school teacher. I make more money than, an engineer, a structural engineer. See, I don't have that problem. I don't feel guilty about any money I made, because I feel grateful, because I know what it's like not to have it. Most of my life, I didn't have it. And I like having it as opposed to not having it. Love the Nooner, Gary. It gets me through the day. Thank you, Butt Crack Studio, for 5 Canadian pesos. Hale, I've been wanting to learn from others about creating media. What do you recommend to learn or write and draw comics? Oh boy. Wolfsbane, $4.99. Reading comics. Reading lots and lots of comics. Through osmosis, that will set in. But How to Draw the Marvel Way is it's an excellent beginner's book. It is excellent. I highly recommend that. Brian Kunari, love your content and insight. Can you give 2 seconds to recap what Disney said today to give the finger to Republicans? Missed it. Oh, absolutely. Let's do it right now. Hang on. My pleasure. All right, we're going to recap again. This is going to be what Bob Chapek said as far as the Gina Carano firing and what he said about right-leaning and left-leaning Disney. And then we're going to talk about the Kathleen Kennedy firing. We're going to recap this, okay? Sound good, everyone? All right, so this is the 40-minute mark, and he is asked about the blacklist. It's going to be kind of low, but you should be able to hear it. Here we go.
Social issues as well as the pandemic. And I think we can all agree on some things, and some of those things are the power of Disney in the world to unite us all under some common themes. So that's what I'd say. Thank you for your question.
And our next question today, Mr. Chapek, comes from David Almasi from Alexandria, Virginia. Please go ahead.
Hi there. It's clear that there's a new blacklist punishing conservatives in the entertainment industry. Disney Plus actors Pedro Pascal and Gina Carano tweeted similar analogies of current political events to Nazi Germany Yet only Carano, who is considered a conservative, was fired from The Mandalorian. Regarding Disney and a blacklist, this is the way?
Well, thank you for your question.
I love that. Sorry, I applauded right over it, but I loved his "this is the way." We'll listen to that question one more time. I fucking just love that. Got him. Now I fucked it up. I'm sorry. If you're hearing little things in the background, my phone is connected to the soundboard. I can take phone calls now. Almost. I need a number. But I'm thinking about it because, apparently it's very easy through my soundboard. I'm sure that would be fun. I'm sure we wouldn't get trolled at all, but there we go. So you're going to hear part of the question again, and I won't interrupt this time.
That comes from David Almasi from Alexandria, Virginia. Please go ahead.
Hi there. It's clear that there's a new blacklist punishing conservatives in the entertainment industry. Disney Plus actors Pedro Pascal and Gina Carano tweeted similar analogies of current political events to Nazi Germany. Yet only Carano, who is considered a conservative, was fired from The Mandalorian. Regarding Disney and a blacklist, this is the way?
Well, thank you for your question. I don't really see Disney as characterizing itself as left-leaning or right-leaning, yet instead standing for values that are universal, values of respect, values of decency, values of integrity, and values of inclusion. And we seek to have not only how we operate, but the content that we make reflective of the rich diversity of the world that we live in. And I think that's a world that we all should live in harmony and peace. Thank you.
You are so full of shit, sir. Sir, you are full of shit. Where's the trigger? Let's start with, you are a left-leaning company. You fired Gina Carano for her opinions, and because her opinions were slightly conservative, you have been perpetuating the lie that there's a bunch of Nazis around every corner, and you are about values. You're about fucking values, huh? What was your value when you shrank Finn on the poster? What was your value when you filmed next to a concentration camp and then faked the people at the concentration camp? What was your values about that? What's your opinions on the Uyghurs? What is your opinion on Chinese human rights violations? What was your opinion about them welding people into their fucking rooms when they had the coof? What is your opinion on not paying writers? What is your opinion on laying off up to 50,000 employees? What's your opinion on fucking screwing over creatives? It's my wife calling. Should I pick it up? Yeah, hang on. Sorry. I'm right in the middle of a rant. I'm on the air.
Oh, I was calling to tell you, remember the landlord's coming today.
Okay. I'm on the air. I'll text me. Text me. Yes, the landlord's coming today, and because our fridge is broken. So where was I? If you are a conservative person, there is no way you can support Disney. They don't like you. They demonize you. They think you're racist. They think you're homophobes. They are not willing to talk with you. They are not willing to compromise. Bob Chapek thinks Disney is a middle-of-the-road corporation. Bob Chapek supported organizations that were burning down our small businesses over last summer. Violence that far outweighed and overshadowed whatever happened at the Capitol. And Bob Chapek's ABC also perpetuated a story that what happened at the Capitol was worse than what it actually was, without being consistent. What happened in the summer was peaceful protesting. See, that is bullshit. It's all bullshit, and I am not a conservative. You are welcome here, though. I don't think you're homophobes. I don't think you're racist. I think you're regular people. That's all you are. And quite frankly, I don't see a lot of common sense coming from Hollywood lately. There is a blacklist. He never denied it existed. And also in his statement, it was a backhand to Gina Carano. It was a virtue signal backhand. He was specifically talking about the accusations that were leaked from Disney saying Gina Carano disparaged a group of people and a religion, which was a fucking lie. And he was backing up that lie because he's a piece of shit. Kathleen Kennedy's a piece of shit. And now they're just trying to spin and cover their ass and then smack up Gina Carano. And you want to know that why they're pissed at Gina Carano? Because Gina Carano hurt them. There are people abandoning. He announced that they have 100,000 subscribers at Disney Plus, which is fucking impressive. But they're also not counting the people who left. They are also counting everybody who signed up through Verizon. And I can tell you right now, if you go and search WandaVision, I'm sure the interest for WandaVision was much higher after the Evan Peters appearance than it was in the finale of the show, which was a total fucking dud because they hired a progressive left writer on her progressive leftness, so whatever. I can't even fucking talk anymore. Based on her fucking politics. I tried to get fucking fancy there and I fumbled right through it. And they didn't hire her for her comic knowledge or her knowledge of the character or wanting to tell a good story. As a matter of fact, the main concept of the show was already thought up for her. And she was just there to flesh things out. She was the showrunner, which shows Kevin Feige runs all this shit. If you're a director of a Marvel film, you're equal to a second unit director. That's what you are. You're essentially a second unit director. All right, now we're going to go to the Kathleen Kennedy stuff. But again, that statement was directly related to the leak. It was not a non-answer at all. Methinks.
Fuel being actually available. So I think we're on the leading edge of the wave, if you will, towards trying to operate responsibly in terms of environment with renewable energy and lower carbon footprint. So we're very proud of what we've done, but you're right, we can do more and we'll continue to do that. We've got a new lead for our CSR activities inside the company, and she'll be working hard to make sure that we have an energy source and a point of focus on this going forward. So, Howard, thank you for your question. Next question, please.
Thank you, sir. Our next question today comes from George Gazelle out of San Antonio, Texas. Please go.
Greetings and salutations. Are you guys looking at firing Kathleen Kennedy or asking her to resign and promote somebody like Filoni or Favreau or both as a co-counsel?
Thank you for your question, George. We've been absolutely thrilled that we can have the kind of creative talent in our company, the likes of Kathy Kennedy to run Lucas. And we look forward to having Kathy directing the activities of the entire Lucasfilm organization for many years to come. Thank you for your question. Next question, please.
Thank you, sir. Our next question today comes from Krista Horo.
Props to both those guys for asking those questions.
I'll eat your ass. I will. I will eat your ass.
Yeah, that fucking unbelievable. All right, so I've got to wrap things up because the landlord's on his way. I love it when this interrupts my shows. Yeah. Always fun. Let's see what super chats I can get before we go. You got another delivery guy out there listening to you while making the rounds. You and others like you have replaced my radio. Keep up the good work. Oh, man. Colton Bach for $5. I love to hear that. I love it. I'm sorry radio has gotten so shitty, but yeah, I mean, like, I watch a lot of YouTube, probably more than I should, but I watch everybody. I subscribe to over 200 channels. I watch damn near all of them at certain points of time. And I think it's been very helpful. Very helpful. Gary, EVS the Frog King can dance also. Oh, he can dance. Pilgrim Media for $2. There you go. He's multi-talented. Griff Rider for $5. Need someone to show normies why no Disney, maybe short point by point vid of things they have done over the years or short playlist of points. I've included it in videos. Hey, they're just trying to project. Griff Rider 1, they're trying to project, if they're going to cancel Dr. Seuss. Kevin Sorbo had a great tweet, said, if you want to cancel Dr. Seuss, then you better fucking cancel Disney. If you want to talk about a racist past, Disney has a horrific racial past. I don't want them canceled for that, though. I want people to remember that to show how far we have come since then. And how far we've regressed. Remember, it was just a few short months ago where we had somebody produce a video on how nasty white people are. Yes, it's not a joke. Hey, Gary, I've been working on my own comic book, but I'm worried that the outline might be too subpar. Do you have any recommendations to contact for help? CC Tenny for $28. I would trust your instincts. And pay attention to a guy like Dan Fraga or Ethan. See how they go about their process. Maybe ask them the question, hey, when you question yourself, where do you go? Especially when you don't have somebody to ask right away. Like, what do you do? What I would do is trust my instincts. If you feel like it is let me put it this way. If you think if it's subpar, then it's subpar. Then you need to work on it. If you have a little thing in the back of your head. The only thing I can relate it to is a video. I can tell before I even release a video how well it's going to do. Now, I get surprised once in a while, right? Like, my Wonder Woman video was a very pleasant surprise. I didn't think it would take off that much, but it did. But I've gotten to know the algorithm. I know what people expect. I am also well aware that YouTube does not suggest my videos as much every month or so. It seems like 1 month I'm fine, and the next month it's like every other month at this point. So it's like I live with it, whatever. But no, I know in the back of my mind something doesn't work. And I've learned to go, well, if it doesn't work, then I need to fix it. And I need to find out what it is. Trust your gut. Trust your gut. It's Zathras, not Zathras. It's Zathras, not Zathras. You're trying to say it's Zathras, not Zathras? I don't know. It's whatever I want it to be. 200-watt studio for $2. I know it's not Thanos, but I've been calling him Thanos for decades. It took me forever to break Thanos, and I still like Thanos better. I used to call Princess Leia. I think everybody did when we were kids. Back in the day, it was Princess Leia. But Crack Studios for 5 Canadian pesos. Love the nooner. It gets me through the day. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. I miss the days when propaganda was subtle, says Codfish Killer for $5. Me too. Got paid, can super chat. B5 and SG are great, says Phantom Boomer for $5. Yeah, there's tons of fans. Wolfsbane, hail. I have been wanting to learn other forms of creative media. What do you recommend to learn how to write and draw comics? Oh, I read that one already. Okay, I know I left some behind, and I'm dreadfully sorry. I had fully intended to get to every single one of these today, but my landlord is coming. And there's a lot. So I am sorry. I am sorry. Answering phone from wife during rant. Mic drop. That's for $10. It says Cab Scout 1739. I got to answer the phone from the missus. I got to answer the phone. Coming to America 2 sequel uses date rape as a joke and exalts the female rapist. Really? Why are people hating it? Did it really suck that bad? Yeah. What happened to your comment section? I don't know. What do you mean what happened to my comment section? I'm sorry. Yeah, that's my bad. I had a thing highlighted. My bad. There. It's better now. You didn't Vitamin R. I enjoy your show, so here's some gratitude. Thank you for the $5. I appreciate it. No, I don't think Lucasfilm will change after Kathleen Kennedy is fired, but it's a scalp and it's far past time we started taking scalps. JWT6577 for $5. Yes, we need a scalp. It's time to come out and say it. Yes, we do. Pablo Hidalgo, Kathleen Kennedy, Alex Kurtzman, Chris Chibnall. We need a scalp. And no, Jody Whittaker isn't a scalp. I don't think so. Not without Chris Chibnall being gone. Gary, you are the voice of reason. Thank you. JWC for $5. I appreciate it. Yes, it's extreme saying we want a scalp. But right now, what you guys are doing is fighting Disney, beating them at their own game with this cancel culture bullshit. Cancel culture is caused by spamming. It's people spamming shit to Disney. Fire Gina Carano, fire Gina Carano, fire Gina Carano. Over and over again. It's the spamming. They just want it to stop. Spam the fuck out of them. Gary, I'm about your age, a Gen Xer, and the more I learn about what's going on, and the less I want to know. But I can't look away. I can't pretend it's not happening. Thank you for doing what you do. Yeah, JP, I know. There's days where you're like, I just want to talk about Con Air, and I take those days, but like, yeah. First time doing a chat. Love your channel. Never miss a video. Says House of the One for $5. I love to hear that. Thank you so much. I've got time for 2 more. And again, I'm really sorry. I had every intention of getting to everyone today. And Geode, who appears to be Psy, a rock. Okay. Look, it's my first job. What do you want from me? I've never seen Star Wars. It's a scratch pad for 5 Canadian pesos. I got you. Marvel Disney seem to think that consequences don't apply to your cause match. Okay, Marvel Disney seem to think that consequences don't apply if your cause matches theirs. Very well said. Joyful Cheese for £5. It ultimately leads to wokeness down the line, then causes the industry to implode and die. Oh, that's 1 of 4. Jesus. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through all these, buddy. Okay, Cliff 3188. Gary, wokeness is a symptom of shills, parasites infiltrating once respected entertainment entities as soon as they get high enough. 1 of 4. On the latter, they proceed to open the floodgates and their talentless allies, associates, and fellow cult members instead of those talent 2 of 4, instead of those with talent. They fear being ousted as nothing more than hacks that added unnecessary bloat to the company. This is commonly coined as corporate incest. 3 of 4. And what's up, Mr. Nielsen? How's it going? Agreed. Haley was on par with Ledger. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you, Mr. Nielsen. So yes, and then Clifton for it ultimately leads to wokeness. Sorry. Down the line, then causes the industry to implode and die. Well said, Cliff 3188. Thank you for the multiple $4.99 super chats. Doug Nelson says agreed. Haley was on par with Ledger. Thank you very much. Hail Gary. The only thing that terrible Watchmen show got right was the inclusion of the giant squid during the flashback scene. You're absolutely correct. Thank you for the £5. The Rock is an untitled James Bond spinoff movie. You can't change my mind. It might be. Thank you, Joe Bryant. All right. God dang it. I've really got to go. I'm really sorry, folks. But landlord's going to come here and I need my refrigerator fixed. So I'll pick these up in the Super Chat Square Up. I'm grateful for you all. I take nobody for granted. You guys are the best chat, the best group of people on YouTube. Thank you for showing up. The next Nooner will be Monday at 11 a.m. Now, Friday Night Tights this Friday, 2 p.m. with Just Some Guy and the gang, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Is the Exozone going to return? Yes. Tomorrow, I'm on the Drinkers channel. I'm on the Drinkers channel at 9 p.m. British Standard Time, whatever that is here. I believe it's 10 or 11, maybe 12, not sure. And we're going to be talking about Con Air. So join us on the Critical Drinkers channel. Thanks, Eric K., for your help today. Thank you to all the Modrotics. Thank you to Mrs. Nerdrotic. Thank you to everyone who super chatted and donated through Streamlabs. You help keep the lights on. Thanks to everyone who shared and subscribed. I appreciate you. Have a great day. Remember, not all who wander are lost.
Nerdrotic.com.
Thank you.